We're going to do something a little bit different. Let me give you a little bit of backstory before we start into this, because this is going to be a bit of a rapid situation. This past week was Thanksgiving. People are, associating Thanksgiving for the big meal that you make. You spend all week or all month basically preparing it, depending on who you are. You have all kinds of options of what you want to sample. And last week, when I was talking to some people in the chat with the game I was playing last week, they're saying, hey, what's happened to the plane shooter? This is a prolific genre going back to the arcade days, so it seems like it's kind of dead nowadays. Well, I mean, in some ways they've got a point. It's not as prolific as it once was. There used to be arcade shooters everywhere. Nowadays you have stuff like Toho, and you have Cinemora as a more recent example of stuff like that, but if you went into arcades back in the 80s, 90s, you would see flight shooters of certain kinds, and you'd also see them come into home as well. So I decided, instead of doing one game, let's go through a showcase of flight shooting games, and what I'm calling, and you can see on the screen, thanks to the nice addition of groups for the Xbox One, SuperOldGameSaturday Shooter Showcase. Well, I have 20 games that we're going to go through in rapid fire. So basically what we're going to do is, I got a bunch of games over here, and we're going to be going through each of these. A lot of these are collections, so we're going to go through, and we're going to have a bunch of flight shooting games going across a period of time, actually a coverage of about 30 or so years, I think, as far as, the release dates of everything, and see what is the situation with flight shooters, what do they have, what are some unique cases of them, some of the companies that were putting them out constantly, or maybe not so constantly, and all the variances of which they exist. And some of these games actually are things I had never played before until this week. Some of them are games I've played most of my life, or a good amount of my life, and others are kind of somewhere in between. So we got a lot to go through, and this is going to be 20 games. We're going to be spending about 10, 15 minutes per game, I think. Again, it's going to depend on how far I get with some of these things, and also with how much I know about it. But also in that way, that's where, chat, you guys are going to be in charge of this one in a lot of ways, because I think you guys have a lot of memories of some of the games. Some I haven't played, but some maybe we both played, or we've all played. So we're going to start off with this. This is the Arcade Classics Anniversary Collection from Konami. This came out last year for the Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. And most of this collection is old arcade shooters from Konami. In fact, actually, we're starting with this one because this segment was suggested by a watcher and mine, and they basically were saying, hey, we want to see Life Force. Well, this has Life Force, the arcade version, not the NES version, but I realized this collection, which is on sale this week, by the way, for $10 on Xbox One and $5 on the PC, which is about how much it's worth. It's not worth the $20, I would say, that it normally runs for, especially because it launched broken initially, but they've since patched it, they've added stuff to it, so this collection is mostly shooters, honestly, flight shooters. We've got a bunch. We're going to go through 7, or all the ones that are on here, which there's 7. We have Nemesis, which we'll do that after. We're going to do Life Force first, but then we also have Typhoon. The only game in this that is not a flight shooter, so we're not going to be playing it now, it's Haunted Castle. It's a port of Castlevania from the NES, but it's enough to make Ghosts and Goblins look like the easiest game alive. Trust me on that one. Then we got Vulcan Venture, Thundercross. These are bonus options that they give you in this. Scramble, which I think is the oldest game we're going to be looking at on this collection. And Twinbee. Again, all different takes on flight shooters from Konami, and we'll have other companies we're going to be touching on as well, but we're going to get the Konami stuff set off first, and we're going to start with the game I was suggested last week. We're going to start with Life Force. It was released in 1986 in the arcades and came out to the NES in 1987. Most people are familiar with that version. I'm familiar with no version, because I've actually never played this game until this week. Let's go. You're looking forward to this, right? Again, this is, we're starting with the game you suggested last week, which was Life Force, by the way. Good to see you, Proterva. Hope you've been doing well. Have a good week. Or been having a good week, I should say. So we're going to take a look at the brief aspect of the mission structure, which, again, the first time I played this game was this week when I bought this collection. I've never touched Life Force until now. So we're going to see how this goes. I played it a little when I bought it earlier this week, but outside of that, I have not much else. But anyway, our ship is the USS Lightspeed, apparently. My weapon will be transmitted to you. Well, actually, there's a lot going on as far as the weapons in this, which we'll get into. Okay, I guess they'll tell us right now. Picking up these items for hyperspeed, destruction missiles. Hyperspeed, speed goes up by 5. Oh yeah, that old digitized voice of arcade games. I love that kind of sound. Just it sounds so distorted, but still so appealing. That still does sound pretty good, particularly for 86 arcade games. And we're going even earlier than 86. Alright, Pulse Laser, of what I played of this game so far, that's the one that's most useful. That and the shield. And again, feel free in chat if you guys know Life Force on NES to explain to me what the differences between on NES and arcade are, because I don't know what they are, and I've actually never played the NES version. This is the only one I've played, and I only played it this week for the first time. But at least I got to it eventually. Alright, so this is the demo. We're going to actually start this game. I think you hit the Y to add coins, and press start. Alright, here we go. So we have a plane. You can see we're shooting stuff, pick up from multiple stuff.
Increased power.
Right, there's increased power. Destruct missile, and I'm hitting the A button to shoot here. I missed that. Yeah, but you hit the B button, you drop that missile down, and I don't know how well we're going to be doing about this, but we're seeing how this is going. The one thing I've noticed about actually a lot of the Konami arcade games, you have these really weird kind of almost biohazard-y like enemies in a lot of them, not just this one. We're going to go into some of the other ones to do this as well, but Life Force was kind of a situation with that, particularly with its original variants, which was known as Salamander in Japan, and they changed it to Life Force when it came over here. But the idea is the same, and we have our, multiple shots, and also the missiles that are shooting out all over the place, and hitting those enemies at the top and bottom is a good thing, because if I hit the sides, I die. And like a lot of these, we're going to get in one-hit kill scenarios. Not every one of the shooters we're playing is going to be like that, but most of them will be. Just basically keep hitting that A and B button, and you'll be set, and avoid the obstacles that go along, and enjoy the slowdown. There's definitely a lot going on that screen, so I can understand it. So I'm not going to say, like, oh, this shouldn't be slowing down, but... Okay, this part I remember because I have to shoot out these objects, and I have to shoot out the, DNA strands, and fly my way through, and there we go, Eye of the Needle, perfect. And I'm doing pretty good considering. Haven't died yet, which is a difference from when I played this earlier this week. Okay, I shoot through the tissue. This part I remember. You have to keep shooting, because it's going to form back on you as soon as you get too far. There you go. Fire, 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 indeed. Alright, so I got through that. Not too bad. Actually, this is the best I've done at this game. This is the reverse of the recording curse. When, that's the idea when you're on camera, you do worse. But actually, I'm doing better. But anyway, we got this weird brain boss. He said shoot the eye. We don't see an eye yet, but when we get to the eye, we'll be able to blast it, and wow, look at that go. Again, I don't know how this was on NES, if maybe they they did cut the graphics down on NES, that I know. I don't know how it affected its playability, though it is still very playable, despite the fact that it's slowing down a lot, and oh, whoa, I just got him. Okay, so now we're in new territory, and apparently it's going from a horizontal shooter to a vertical one. So you get the best of both worlds. We see a lot of vertical shooters going along, but basically I'm just kind of shooting, everything is dying, and you're somehow doing really well on this. I gotta be honest with you. I was not expecting to be able to do this well on this. Shoot, 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 boom, boom, boom. There's more laser power-ups, and look at the asteroids, look at the lasers. Alright, there you go. I hit so much so I got myself killed, but that's just my first life, so in good shape. But yeah, this is the appeal of this kind of game. You're just going around, shooting everything that moves, just enjoying the experience of going in space. Probably playing to, the idea of, your sci-fi fantasies of the time, and, well, bosses and items to pick up as well. Multiple. I do like those voices again. I'm doing really well so far. There's going to be a lot of avoiding stuff in a lot of these games, so I'm only going to be shooting stuff, mostly, but it definitely changes the dynamic a lot for some of games like this, and we are going to get into that with some of the later ones we talk about, because I got some personal stories on some of the games. Nothing in this, I hate to say it, but so far, I guess we're making memories in here, at least as far as myself is concerned, and I guess the chat, which, again, we're jumping from game to game like crazy, so be prepared to be talking and mentioning any of your memories with these games, anything curious you're saying on screen, any tips you might have if you are familiar, or, again, in the case of a WAP... Oh, right. I just hit the Y button, basically. So it's like, wait a second, why was that making that ding-a-ding? That's the insert coin button. So it works that way whether you're playing or not. And I hit that thing in the eye, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this because I think I'm on my last life. Alright, I got him. Good job. Oh, and back to side-scrolling again. I do like that variety, because in a lot of ways there's a thought of, okay, is it a side-scrolling shooter or a vertical? Or side-scrolling or heading upwards? Or downwards in some cases. So in that way, it's like a good variety of elements. And, okay, I remember this stuff from Life Force. All the fire. There we go, at 200,000, we are doing good, and I'm dead. Oh, achievements! Alright, rare achievement. 200,000 points in Life Force. Okay, so, yeah, I guess we're going to see some achievements going on in this playthrough as well. Or any of these games. Oh, and top of the leaderboard. That's the other appeal of this. Get the high score, hit the top of that leaderboard. Let's put in our initials. And there we go. And, yeah, with that also, there are no continues as far as this. So, yeah, we got to start over from the beginning. Barely got it. Yes, I did. In fact, it actually just popped up on my PC. This is an interesting situation where, because I run Windows, you get to see that on the screen. I hear, like, the go on the console, and then I hear it a few seconds later on this. And it's a rare achievement. So, yeah, it's like, let's take a look at that briefly, and then we'll go back and play a little more of this, and then we'll jump to the next one. Okay, rank 2 amongst my friends this month. Alright, I have 2 out of this collection. We have the Twinbee one. We'll look at Twinbee next, or soon enough. 200,000 in Life Force. Okay, so there we go. And again, that was me having played this for the first time in a while. But we have a credit. Let's play it again. Yeah, but again, I guess I gotta start from the beginning. So we'll give it another try. See how far I get. By the way, for this collection, you do have options to turn up the number of lives. And I don't know if they give you the option for continue. In fact, when I get a game over next time, we'll take a look at that. Okay, this is what I wanted to get before, but honestly, it's probably better that I didn't. Rarest people play against 4 nights. You say that, but then again, the market for classic compilations and like that return to that style of game or that era of gaming seems to be more popular now than ever. And especially with this idea, because Konami, let's deal with the elephant in the room of Konami. A lot of people hate Konami because Konami has basically pretty much ditched their entire video game market to a certain extent in that they have a lot of the licenses stuff that, I just barely touched that. But anyway, people do not like Konami for pretty much abandoning a lot of franchises they've had, a lot of video gaming. They've moved actually more over to their slot division. And like, for example, when they announced a new Silent Hill game, well, there's the Silent Hills game that got canceled, and then afterwards, like, oh, we got a new Silent Hill game. People saying like, oh, it's a slot variant, it's a pachinko machine. And people were really mad about that. And Konami, generally speaking, has not been putting out a lot of aspects of their old games. But last year they put this out. They put the Contra collection and also the Castlevania collection, which we've used before. And I'm dead already. And so at that point, they've been throwing some bones to people, but again, that's the most they've been doing recently. But still, Konami has so many great games and great franchises in their history, and I've shown that a lot this month. I've done like 3 games of theirs this month. Actually, one thing we're going to do, though, hit the back button, you go into game settings, let's see what we got. Because we have, okay, difficulty options, I don't know what that does. You can also change number of lives. Just for the purpose of expanding this out a little bit, let's update the setting. It's fine. Reset the game. We'll play one more time, and then we'll go to the next one. Heading on the way to Sega. Well, Sega has... And we're going to get to Sega, because we got some examples of that from Sega as well. Sega also has a slot division, interestingly enough. And Sega does have a lot of stuff they still put out. I mean, they have some of the major releases and some of the major franchises they work with, particularly Sonic the Hedgehog and Yakuza. In fact, they just launched the new Yakuza game, which is an RPG, Like a Dragon, for the Xbox Series X a couple of weeks ago. But they also have an arcade division, although, unlike Konami, Sega never really abandoned their gaming market exactly. I mean, they've been putting out a lot of, like, classic compilations, and we got a couple we're going to run through here, and also a lot of classic, I guess, arcade or home units. They have the Astro City Mini unit that's coming out next month, which is a really nice device, although it's only in Japan. So they're still going about that way, and actually most recently with it, Sega, I mean, as long as we're on that, you're bringing that up, Sega has run into situations with money, and a lot of their divisions have been, people have been losing their jobs left and right, apparently, at Sega, as far as like 23% of their gaming force got shuttered recently. So, I mean, the difference is that, as far as like what you're saying, like what happened with Sega and Konami, is that I think with Sega has enough of a situation where when they put out new stuff, sometimes there's enough of a quality to it and enough, you know, bones being thrown to people who've been growing up with them that they're willing to put up with, okay, the fact that maybe they're not getting as many games or as many revivals of stuff as they'd like. I mean, there are Sega franchises, along with like Konami franchises, I'd love to see come back, but they can't really rationalize it money-wise or think like, oh, this is going to sell. So you sometimes get in that situation, so they're going to fall back on what they know sells. Like, for example, I mentioned Sonic and Yakuza, because those are big sellers for Sega. They went bankrupt and went back to the Chica machines, to an extent, but again, they're still kind of there. I mean, with Sega, it was also the idea that they used to be a hardware manufacturer as far as gaming console, and then they shifted away just to software. And in a lot of ways, that worked out for them, but in some ways it also didn't, because then they put a lot of stuff out, a lot of it didn't sell, and they ran into a lot of situations. So, I mean, they're still around, not as much as Konami, but again, Sega also has the situation where a lot of untapped franchises theirs. But again, the other thing that's interesting with Sega is that Sega understands more than Konami, I think, at least the brass that's at Sega now, understands better than Konami does what legacy they have as a gaming company, a video gaming company. Obviously, they can have their slot divisions as well to go about that, no problem. But Sega understands that, which is why, like this year alone, we've had situations where they released Streets of Rage 4. They had another company develop that for them. They gave them the license to be able to go about it, and so they went along with that. They actually did that with Shenmue 3 last year, let Yu Suzuki make that. And also, the other example of that is, and we're going to get to this is going to be the last game we're talking about, Panzer Dragoon. There's a remake of that that's coming out for Xbox One and PS4, and it's on Switch right now. And I would have it on Switch if the physical release out of Limited Run was not delayed, but they licensed their franchises to other companies to make for them, also you're still having the Sega name, and people are really happy with them. I mean, the Panzer Dragoon remake was pretty well received. They're remaking the second game soon, and again, I'll be picking up the remake of the first one and of 2 when they get to it. And Street Fighter 4 was really well received, so I think that Sega, they have their foot still as far as the gaming thing. I think with Konami, like these 3 collections they made, this one, the Contra one, and the Castlevania one, it's a situation where people are really liking the fact that they're going back to that and saying, well, alright, what are we going to do with more stuff? I'm going to try this one more time, and then we're going to go on to another game. So I think that, and again, with Konami, also, they're kind of going out as far as other entertainment venues, because, like, they have the anime series based on Castlevania that's a big hit for Netflix, and they have, I think, the second season or the third season is coming up on that soon. But again, there's clearly that fandom of a lot of the stuff Konami's making, and they see enough, I think, when it comes to some of these things, I think people, like, they want to see more of that. Well, in this case, it's kind of easy to go about, because I'm just shooting. There's not much else to explain to this. I could just be really, you know, repetitive, saying, like, oh, I'm shooting lasers. You know that. There's not much else to do about this. But see, that's also the other reason why I'm jumping between games, because then we'll have another variation on what we're going about. But again, what I'm going to do is, as soon as I get a game over on this, we're going to go to another game. And again, we're going to be doing this as we go along. But also the other point I'm also trying to make here is that basically going into, as you're saying, or as you mentioned last week, where did this genre go? And kind of a little bit of a guided tour of what it's like and what it was like, and maybe what it sort of is like now. Alright, I'm going to die. You know, I'm going to intentionally kill myself, because we've seen pretty far about how I've gone. Oh, and I'm in the wall now, but apparently, okay, I still have a little bit of a invincibility situation. I'm just curious about that, because when I was playing this, I wasn't sure what's killing me or not, but yeah, those strands do kill you, the little amoeba thingies. Okay, so that's that. This game over. Alright, let's go AAA. We're fine. So let's go to the next game on our list. We're gonna quit Life Force. Now let's go for let's do Twinbee. This came out in 1985. This is also an arcade game. This has been ported elsewhere. Yeah, I did get the achievement for that, which is nice, and again, for being able to show more of this game off than I expected. Now, Twinbee is what's considered, it seems like, a cute 'em up. Now, what I mean by that is that it has these nice candy-coated graphics, and you have Twinbee and, I don't remember the name of the other guy, but we'll see that. I got an achievement for this one when I first got this release. But we're going to take a look at what this is. This is more of a vertical shooter. See, Y button, same situation, and off we go. If you ever played Xevious by Namco, this is going to be looking a little familiar. You're basically shooting enemies going upwards, but you also have these bells that come out of the cloud, and what you want to do is you want to shoot them, and they change colors like that, and I want to get it to another color. It takes a variation on numbers, but also the thing is when it turns color, you gotta pick it up and you get a power-up. But also you can pick them up to get items, and also the other thing is you have the B button, you can drop down bombs, just like Xevious. Which, by the way, we can't show Xevious off, and I'll get into the reason why we're not showing that off tonight. But we have other Namco representation we're going to have. But this is basically kind of the idea. It's actually pretty simple as far as this one, but there's a sequel it got called Detana Twinbee in 1991, which I have for the Xbox 360. I can't show through this, and it got recently ported over to the Switch under a totally different name called Bells and Whistles. I don't know why they changed the name, but same idea, and actually, that's a great game. I'd love to show that one off, but again, I'd have to pull out my 360 for that, because there's a collection that has it that actually you can't buy anymore, and that might be an interesting topic to go when I'm going to do, like, another grab bag, which I could do. I mean, in fact, at that point, I'll probably do stuff I can only play on the 360. In this case, I'm picking stuff I can play on Xbox One, but it is going to be covering a lot of genres and a lot of styles of game. I mean, I even just like the idea of, like, some of the character of this one, where you have little Twinbee guy throwing down the bombs, like, his hands moving. And picking up the items and all that. So, again, not too much to say. You also move slower than, you know, say we were doing with Life Force. But, of course... Uh-oh. Alright, so we have this guy. Let's shoot him up. Now, I do have a shield, so I do have a little bit of wiggle room as far as where my health-wise. You don't always have this. You normally will have when it kills, but again, if you get hit too much, it goes away, and... Alright, you lose your arm. I forgot about that. You can throw bombs more rapidly, but if you get hit in the right place, in your arms, you lose your arms. But don't worry, it's just a flesh wound, because... Alright, I got a life. Alright, that's good. 200,000, or 20,000 points gets you an extra life. But by losing your arm, you don't get to throw bombs as fast, but you also still have the ability to throw bombs, and you avoid dying. And actually, I don't know if this game does it, but I know Detana Twinbee has an element where if you get hit on the sides, you lose both of your arms, and then a little ambulance comes, and you have to get in the ambulance in order to recover your arms. Otherwise, you go through the rest of the level without being able to... Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. There we go. This game does have it. Alright, so I jump in the ambulance, and now both my arms are back. I knew EMS people were good, but I didn't know that good. But I lost one other arm as well. But again, that also gives you an idea of being able to survive, unless you can hit straight on, in which case you're going to die anyway. Oh, and yeah, in that case, there we go too. But that star... Okay, that's just for points, I think. Actually, where the bells come from, by the way, they're in the clouds, not all of the ones. They sometimes will randomly appear, but you also kind of keep them bouncing and collect them that way. And they will give you points if you get them when they're yellow, but when you get them when they're other colors, they give you other power-ups, particularly the shield, as we saw, but also like rapid fire or spread fire like we had before. Actually, I'm doing okay on this, considering... Again, considering I'm more familiar with the sequel than with this one. But again, the idea is the same. Uh-oh. Yo! One per game. I got the achievement for this game already, but we'll see what we can do. So that's game over. Okay, so we got a name situation here. Now, this one, weirdly enough, has... Usually they'll give you initials. This one gives you 4 letters. So we'll go short for my name. Mike. Where is that K? There we go. So enter name, please, and they're very nice in asking me. Today's your best score. Today's score ranking. So there we go, the high score of 48,000. The achievement on this, I believe, was... Well, we can check now, because I got it. The achievement was... Twinbee and Winbee aim for victory, which is 50,000. So I had got it before. I got this when I first picked up the game. So we have it this way now. So we're going to try it one more time, and then we're going to go on to another. Yeah, I thought this would be an interesting change of pace as far as the visuals and also the way it plays, again, because I can't show Xevious for reasons I'll explain later, and then also because I can't show its sequel, which, again, I explained is on 360 as far as how I have it, and also because, again, I'm not going to really have much of a cute-em-up representation. I was trying to see if I could have Fantasy Zone, but unfortunately I don't have any collection on the Xbox One that has it. And I don't know, actually, now that I think about it, if there's any access to Fantasy Zone on the Xbox One. There might be, but I have to look into that. At some point we can show off Fantasy Zone, though. In fact, well, actually, that might be an opportunity when I pull up the 360, because I have a collection that has it, so we can talk about that. But again, just some kind of representation of what the cute-em-up genre is, and giving an idea that with so many games in the genre back in the day, companies wanted to really differentiate themselves as far as what they're doing. Even companies that had like a bunch of them going, like Konami. So they're like, hey, let's have this way of this cute little character. And particularly in the sequel, they add like voice work to Twinbee, so he's kind of like saying these like cute Japanese sayings, which, again, give it a lot of personality that I really like, especially the in-between cutscenes. Alright, we're not going to care about our name right now. We're definitely lower than what I had before. But as you said, we do have... Okay, I have a scoring somewhere, but... we are not seeing it now, so... Okay, so with that, we're all set. We're going to go battle to Twinbee, and again, we have the achievements for every game so far. We'll see what happens. There is achievement, I think, for every game, or at least enough of a... Okay, I'm not saying gimme. 50,000. The 50,000 I did when I bought this the other day. When I bought this game, I wanted to test it out to see what I had to deal with here as far as shooting stuff. So I played it and I got it over there. I think what happened is that the way this works is, and some arcade games did this, they'll give you like a scoreboard based on the day of the machine. It didn't say, well, I'm trying to remember if this game has leaderboards to it. It might. But there was some aspect, again, I did get it, and I do have the achievement for it, so we do have both of them set to it. But again, I got the other one the other day. I got this one tonight. But we're going to go to the same year as Twinbee, 1985. This is Nemesis, but you probably know this game better if you're an old classic Konami player as Gradius. They changed the name when it came over here, at least in the arcade. When it came out to NES, they did have the actual name. So we have perhaps the most famous ship in all of these kinds of games, the Vic Viper. And this is not going to be the first time we're going to be seeing him tonight. So this is more of a side-scrolling situation as far as shooter, but it plays a lot like Life Force. So let's get this baby started. Hit Y button. Alright, now, the idea of this game is that on the bottom of the screen there, you see those icons there, like speed up, missile, double, laser. Now, the idea of that is as you collect these little orbs here by killing all the enemies in the line, unfortunately I only did on one, you have the option to, or basically it'll move across the screen, across those boxes. There we go, so missile. Now what I can do is I can press B at whatever time I want to get the item that's in the box currently. So I can say, like, oh, I want the missile, or I can wait for double, then hit B button, or hit X button. Okay, X, sorry for this. And you have double shots. Here we go. And you can also use it anytime you get stuff to mix and match. So I have speed up, so I'm moving a lot faster now, and I have these spread shots going on in two directions, with a double shot. And you can only have, as far as the weapons is concerned, I think you can mix and match some of them, but as far as some of your shots, you can only mix and match a couple. When you die, you go back that way. But again, if you get a bunch of them, you can just use multiple, and like multi-shot like that, but again, feasibly mix and match as you go. But again, there's a lot of things to keep track of on screen, so you gotta be careful. Alright, let's take laser. So there we go. So you do have some variation as far as how this, and again, okay, you can mix and match this way, so I have multi-laser going off. But then it does give an interesting new dimension to the style of the game. Where you're like, okay, I got a game over, because again, I hadn't played this game until just the other day. Although, in this case, you do have continues. So the way to go about that is hit that and hit start. Yeah, unlike Life Force, you do get continues in this game. And considering it's an arcade game, you feasibly have a situation where you can basically use infinite continues as long as you keep putting in money. Which is the idea of a lot of these games, especially out of Konami. Which the idea is they're made insanely difficult to get you to keep putting quarters into it. But it's fun enough, you still want it. Let's try it with the laser again. Let's try that. And again, you get this very pleasant music while you're trying to avoid all the shots. And to think, this is not the most enemy firepower we're going to be seeing on screen tonight. We're going to have other examples of this that are going to be shadowing this one, or overshadowing this one, let's put it that way. But so far, so good. And the blue one, I don't remember what the blue one does. Oh, whoa. Yeah, it's going to be tough to avoid that. There's a lot on the ceiling. Hit the missile, double. Okay, so there definitely is strategy here, because again, you want to get that bar filled up while avoiding shots, and also getting yourself so you're going to be in better shape to take care of the enemies. There we go, laser. Nice ramming. Yeah, and it is pretty smooth, actually, as far as the way this game is concerned. And that's despite the fact this is an older game than even Life Force was. Okay, I don't want to hit the volcanoes. I think those things are going to kill me. Okay, here we go. Ow. Unfortunately, I got a game over, but let's see if I can come back right here. Because again, that's the beauty of all these arcade games. Just put coins in and keep playing. Unless sometimes they'll limit you. Alright, let's see where this put me. Okay, this put me a little before the boss, so I will have some lives as long as I'm a little careful. The laser set, get the speed up set. Actually, in that way, that's kind of a good strategy, I think, for this, which is just pretty much get yourself as strong a weapon as you can get, while also then getting speed up so you can move and avoid the shots a little easier. And feasibly don't hit the ceiling, because I think you'll die. Alright, there we go. But I also like the idea of the boss, where I was like, okay, before he comes out, I gotta avoid these volcano shots. But it looks like if I stay up here, I'm safe. Easily just hit him in the center. Okay, I can't go through that. Oh, and I have to start this again. So, alright, so I can't just cheese that and be alright at the boss. So I do have to be a little careful. So let's get multi-shot. Get missiles. Yeah, same situation as Life Force. Hit B button to get missiles going, and yeah, unfortunately, we're gonna be dying a lot here. I don't know if you can hear this out here, but I'm mashing that A button like crazy. But again, to think if I had like an arcade stick to play this, you'd be hearing even more of that. I just missed that. I'll try one more time, and then we'll go on to its sequel, because this game does have, or this collection has the sequel to this game, which also is not called Gradius. In fact, in the US, they didn't start calling it Gradius until, again, it hit NES, and then also Super Nintendo later. Oh, that was close. We'll get the speed up. There we go. Okay, now we're moving. So in this case, staying center, or staying ahead of everything, seems like it's the best strategy. And for the boss this time, I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to not go in between those lasers. I thought I could fit past, but apparently not. So far, so good. Move over here, and we're in good shape. Oh, wait, I have speed up. Oh, shit, I hit the mountain, or the volcano. Alright. Yeah, these games are not easy. And again, I've never played a lot of these before, so that's where also the familiarity is going to be, or the unfamiliarity is going to be. That's also why I decided we're going to make this a showcase. I feel like I just... Yeah, no, absolutely not. Not this game. This game is not the invincibility frame shooter. That actually probably was Twinbee. At least of the ones we're seeing now. And I can think of maybe a couple others we're going to have having that situation later, but we'll see. We'll get to those when we get... Well, for a minute I didn't even need to see what I got hit by. Alright, I'll try it one more time, and then we're going on to 2. Or Gradius 2. Or, okay, never mind. We're going on to Gradius 2 now because you have a limited... Yeah, Toho comes to mind. We're going to see some sort of bullet hell situations going on in this as well. But, alright, so you can continue, but you are limited on continues as well. And I get the sense... Okay, you can pump the lives up like the other ones, change the difficulty to make it easier. But we're going to quit Nemesis now. We're going to go to its sequel, which is called... Well, this is Gradius 2, but it's called Vulcan Venture here. Or was, anyway. This is from 1988. So it's the same situation. Deposit coin with the Y button, and off we go. In this case, we have a selection of options we can have for our power meter. So we gave you just the one in the first one. And this is also the other reason I'm doing these in a line like this. So we can kind of get a little bit of a trajectory of some of the series that we had. And we had a couple others we're going to deal with as well. So I'm going to take this one. I like the pulse. I'm going to go back to life force. And then also the two-way seems useful. Okay, I got options as far as my shield. I have 2 shields like that, or I can have a force field. I think I'm going to go with the 2 shields there. If the other one's any indication, I want to have a perspective where I'm avoiding shots. Alright, so same idea as before. Oh, except I'm getting killed much sooner. But same idea as before. Shoot the enemy chains and collect the objects. Hit X to get get the weapons I want or need when they're on the box. Let's speed up, and the missiles. They are going off screen not as fast as the other one, so I do have some time to pick up. Alright, because I can stack these. Alright, so that's good to know. So I can stack the speed. I can stack it so that I go faster for one use and then even faster for a second. So basically I have options as far as how my controls are going to go, but in this case I got a game over, but we're going to try one more time. Oh, no, I don't want that one. Alright, fine, whatever.
Destroy them all.
Yeah, it's weird I'm doing worse on the sequel than on the original. Well, let's get some of those speed ups. There we go. Now we're moving. There, and now I'm definitely in good shape. But I'm not going to use the speed up again, because I think I'm moving fast enough. So it definitely gives you a lot of strategy. Because, I mean, I guess the thought process is, when it comes to some of these shooting games, how much is it just going to be shooting? So give some credit for this, for giving some variety and some strategy as far as how you're going to operate. Okay, that kills everything on screen. The more you play, the worse you get, in some cases. But then you eventually get to that situation where it's like, alright, fine, you kind of hit that nirvana. And again, it's kind of the flip of how Life Force went, where I thought I was going to do terrible on Life Force, but I ended up not doing too terrible. Well, also, this is kind of scrolling down, which is interesting as well. So I can move up and down and... Whoa, avoid that fire dragon. Oh, but... Maybe I should have went through that guy. But at least they are good with the checkpoints as far as getting enough... Or getting enough of a leeway when you die if you're made some progress. That or just kill the space dragons or sun dragons as quick as I can. Until they come behind. Yeah, fortunately, I guess you gotta hit them in the head. Yeah, I mean, going back to what you're saying on frame rate, I like how generally smooth a lot of these games are, even the ones that are slowing down, especially for relative to the time they came out. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, that saved me nicely. Multiple, there we go. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. And I think that's also the appeal of a lot of these games. The idea that, okay, you keep dying in some ways, trying to understand how the mechanics of them work, but also you get a little further each time, and you really kind of want to keep going. Ooh. Do I go for that? No, I don't go for that. I could feasibly have gotten that if I'm very careful not to hit the sun, but I don't know if the Vic Viper is that strong of a ship. I think our fans of this series might take umbrage with that, but so far it seems like I'm doing good, making a name with it. I got the speed up, so now we're smoking. Now, there are other games in the Gradius series. This is going to be the last one we're going to be looking at tonight, because I don't think there are any other available for Xbox One and collections. I know 3 is on Super Nintendo, and I believe it's on the Switch Online, so we could take a look at that someday. And also get some SNK representation over there, because we don't have SNK stuff going on tonight. If I was doing it on Switch, we would, but I figured on Xbox One I've got enough games here that I can cover for some of that. Alright, here we go. Phoenix, man. Oh! Okay. Whoa! Ah! Almost.
Missile.
Alright, there we go with the missile, but again, I don't think that's going to help me on this boss. So just keep hitting him in the eye and just get out of the way and shoot the fireballs. Then again, I'm doing okay, and I have some options here despite not having many of my powers from before when I died. Because, of course, when you die, you lose all your powers, which makes sense. But even with just the default laser, I'm doing okay. I'd like to kill this guy if I can. Alright, there we go. Alright, so the Phoenix is gone. And we're in high score territory, but again, I think the achievement for this is 100,000. I think. But we'll see how far I can get with the rest of this. Also, I kind of like getting the speed up set up right away, as far as like how I'm playing this. I mean, I guess that's the other thing, it does play to different styles. Alright, I'm game over. Okay, here we go. Getting a little personal with what our age is. Can I say I'm 0 ages? Okay, I'm 0 years old. Who knew? Alright, I won't lie about my gender, that's fine. And let's put in the initials. There we go. Alright, let's continue one more time. I'm going to assume it's like the original where you only get a certain amount. But we're also going to go with the power-ups I wanted to have before, which is two-way and the shield. And I guess I'm probably back on the second stage. Actually, I probably should have waited to use that screen clearer. And there's the double. Yeah. In this case, there's a lot of stupid mistakes I'm doing, but again, it's the kind of thing that I just kind of want to get everything and think, oh, I can take this on, and then realizing, oh, no, I can't. I guess also the idea of like how rapid your fire is, because there is a little bit of a delay when I shoot the bullets, where they go farther off, and like, okay, I don't have shooting going on, even though I'm rapid firing the A button. We got a boss, I guess? Yeah, they're probably right about that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so just like Life Force, we have to shoot through this, I don't know. Chat, what are we dealing with here? Metal works? Alien tentacles? Piping? I don't know. Anyway, we gotta shoot through it because likely I'm gonna die. In this case, it's a good thing I played Life Force, so I know how this works. Ooh, there we go. That was good to get. Okay, missile, wireframe. Okay, yeah, I can see that. You do say wireframe, and actually we're going to be getting into that in a little more of a technological sense in a bit. But we'll get to that in about... Yeah, when we're done with this collection, we'll probably... We'll walk towards that. Alright, so that's game over. Let's see, do we have another... Okay, I still got another thing, so we're going to lie about my age again. I like the idea you can hit 00 as an age. So basically you say like, yeah, I'm not even born, or I just was born and I'm playing this game. Alright, we'll try one more time. It seems like they're giving me a lot more continues to this than they would on the original. And then we'll hit the next game. Oh, okay, they put me right in front of one of those things. I'm thinking, oh no, I almost got myself killed by touching it. Yeah, unfortunately those hands are moving fast, and without speed up, this is not something that's easy for me to get through. Alright, so I'm not getting through that. So, Yeah, we're gonna cancel. So game over. But we did get a taste of some Gradius action under different names. So with that, let's take a look at what we have next on the Konami docket, and then we'll be moving away from Konami for a while. But let's see, we have... Let's take a look at Typhoon. Now, this was a little interesting when I played this. This is also kind of a vertical shooter, vertically oriented in this. But it's also you kind of going into the screen, and we'll see what I mean when I hit Y on this and get started. They clearly were taking an inspiration, I think, from the popularity of the film Top Gun at the time. So beat 'em up theme. I definitely want to get into that, and definitely there's some stuff I want to show, particularly some of the stuff in Streets of Rage. But that's definitely a good idea for when I do theming. As far as next week, I think I'm going to be doing Donkey Kong Country 2 next week, because next week we got another anniversary of a game. December 5th is the 25th anniversary of that game, so I want to give that one its due because it is amazing. But I will, next time I go back to a multi-showcase situation, we'll take a look at some beat-em-ups. I think I've got a couple I could be doing on either on 360 as a layout for this, or I can also just pick one and go with it. Now, again, this is what I meant when I said we're kind of going into the camera. We're just kind of going down into the cloud cover with our turbojet, shooting that little blue button on the ship, and then we pull ourselves out, but now we're in a helicopter. So you definitely get a little bit of variety, and I never played this game until just the other day. And again, like Twinbee, we have bombs, or missiles anyway. We drop those on the battleships, and down they go. And again, I like the idea of a lot of these Konami shooters where they have a lot of different things. And even the Gradius thing, because I'm realizing, you have your options as far as screen clearing attacks. Basically, by picking up items, you can build up your ships more. So yeah, I mean, Konami made all these games, so of course there's going to be some similarities, but it's interesting how they're kind of going about it and showing the technology that they want to go about. Again, this one's kind of showing the scaling and rotational effects in the opening, but now we have like the overhead perspective in a helicopter. And we're going to see some other helicopter shooters tonight. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss that one, but we'll show that. I'm kind of dreading that one, but yeah, not all the games, just disclosure warning, not all the games I'm playing tonight are good. I'm going to just come out now and say that. Some of them are horrible, but we're going to take the good and the bad. We're going to show the history of this shooting genre that we like so much, or we're wondering where it is. So it's kind of a nice return to, older days, but also just an idea of, like, a little bit of history for myself. This is not me sitting here saying, oh, remember all these games, I know all this stuff. No, a lot of this stuff I've never played, so this is just as much of a learning experience for me as it is for you guys. If it even is a learning experience. But, alright, so we've got a game over. We're going to try again. Okay, no, I was putting coins in. By the way, I should have mentioned, this came out in 1987, which I'd never heard of this game, though, until this collection came around, so I totally missed it. I at least want to get out past this section, though, to see what we got next. And as I've said with a lot of these, part of the fun, it seems like, is just seeing, like, alright, what's the next challenge I'm going to offer, but especially in the case of a lot of these games, what's the new... Looks rough? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shooting going on, a lot of shots coming around, a lot of things to deal with, but again, if you know these games, it sounds like chat does have some ideas as far as what these are like. A lot of it's about pattern memorization, basically about positioning, seeing, okay, what shots do enemies shoot out? How do I avoid them? How do I get rid of the threats to them? How do I move quickly and process all that without getting crashed into? Pardon the Gradius. In a way, yes, I could say that. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily... I'm just not doing a good job in some lot of ways. So there's that aspect. But it definitely is a different kind of mechanic. I mean, this is kind of combining Gradius and Twinbee and Life Force. And again, its own thing with the first level going down to the cloud cover. So it's kind of trying to be like the jack of all shooters, pretty much. And I don't know if I'd say master of none, but it's definitely doing it a lot different, so it makes it stand out. Yeah, feasibly I could just avoid this. That's the other way. Or just hit the missile that way. Though again, this is not the craziest we're going to see with bullets being shot tonight as far as this kind of a display. There is one I'm thinking of, and one of the ones I'm actually most familiar with from my history that we're going to get into way later. And a little more of a modern one, but we'll get to that later. I do like the music, and I do like just kind of how it looks. I think this is, if I'm remembering correctly, one of the newest shooters on this collection, or one of the newest games on this collection, I think. But again, I'll go back to that when we do a quit, and I think I might get to that after my next credits. But so far, it seems like we've been going pretty well as far as kind of going like a mile a minute on these, while also giving each of them enough of their due to get a sense of what do they like? And again, why are they difficult, or why are they unique? I mean, I guess that since we're going to be ending the Konami run of these semi-soon, chat, what is some of your memories as far as Atari arcade shooters? Is it mostly Life Force and Gradius? Is it this? Or are there other things that maybe aren't on these collections? Because there's a lot of other ground that is covered that this collection does not cover. Some of them which are on Switch, which I can show off at some point later. Later when I do this another time, I should say, not tonight. Because we're all Xbox One in this tonight. We're all Xbox One in terms of where they're being played. Alright, so that's game over, and I think with that... Okay, so we got a score somewhere. Okay. What's GAA? Alright, so we're good to that. We're gonna quit Typhoon now and go to... Let's see what we got. We did Life Force, we did Nemesis, we did Twinbee. We just did Typhoon. Haunted Castle's not a shooter. We're not doing that yet. That's going to be a insanely hard games theme night, feasibly. Vulcan Venture we did. Okay, this is the last one, Thundercross. Actually, alright, I lied. Thundercross and Vulcan Venture are the two newest. Devil May Gradius, just don't know where. Yeah, feasibly, I guess if there's Gradius, you'd be playing on an NES or Super Nintendo. Or some of the later versions, which, I'll get into those as we go along, because there's some companies whose games we're going to play later that would go on to make Gradius. I have connections to Konami as well. But last in the docket, we have Thundercross. This came out in 1988. Put the coin in, and we'll start. Alright, so we get some little cinematic going. Alright, so this is the little baby, or we got a little baby as my screen clearing weapon. And I believe you can get other ones as you go along. Get those nice little V's for your items. There we go. Except they get killed again. But again, you definitely have more... Okay, so yeah, hitting B button releases little baby, which kills everything on the screen. B gives me, I guess, Vulcan shots. This is giving us a little more as far as unique set pieces as we go along. As far as like, hey, you stop in a situation and you have to like blow the wall up. There we go. Hopefully I'll be able to hold this without dying. Yeah, spoke too soon. Alright, let's try one more time. Oh, but in this case it puts you right there. So, assuming this gives you infinite continues, you can pretty much cheese it this way the entire game. But, oh! Right, there's things coming from behind. I forgot about that. Actually, I probably should be using Little Baby more. Like, no, yeah, there you go. I do like that effect. Just how it kind of flashes the screen. By the way, I guess I may as well mention... I don't know how many of the games we're going to talk about tonight really are going to be a concern if you are not good with flashing lights. But there are definitely some in this. In fact, actually, Haunted Castle we're not playing, as I mentioned, and I'm kind of glad we're not playing it because there's one section where the flash is so intense. I usually don't have problems with this. It kind of hurt my eyes watching it, honestly. To the point where I was thinking, like, I had to look away from the screen every time I died and had to continue again. You think I'm dying a lot in this game? Ooh, wait till you see Haunted Castle. Haunted Castle might be probably the hardest game I've ever played in my life, and I only played it for like 10 minutes. But yeah, we'll see that at some point. I don't know under what circumstance, but yeah, maybe another showcase Alright, so not too much to say about this, except for the idea that, again, it's going a little slower as far as scrolls. And we have the screen clear, and I also have those little ships at me, which shoot out more firepower. But again, you die in one hit anyway, so it doesn't really change too much, unless you destroy the screen. Oh, there we go, and got a third ship on top, so I got more shots. Oh, yeah, I didn't even see him coming. Alright, so I guess that's something you gotta be aware of in this game. Things are gonna come from behind. Yeah, there's definitely, I guess, a little more of the bullet hell mentality, particularly in the idea that you have to put yourself often in the line of fire to be able to succeed. Or at least get to the next section. In this case, I think I gotta hit the little gem there. In some cases, like with a lot of these the other bullet hell shooters, you run into a situation where being in the line of fire tends to be the safest place, surprisingly. But we got him. Alright, again, this is the... Okay, thank God that didn't kill me. The USS 4059. Right, now we're in, I guess, Smog Town, or something like that. I don't want to get that shot, because I do like these shots. I mean, admittedly, it seems as if, for this, mostly it's just shooting upgrades and then Lil Baby over there. I think you can upgrade Lil Baby from what I remember playing, of what little I've played of this. But now we're cooking, and we're doing pretty well for ourselves. Oh! Yeah, probably should use Little Baby there. Alright, I'll use him now. Alright, I got a game over. Alright, let's try one more time. What, those little mite shooters? Oh, okay, they're coming to the background. Alright, so that's neat. I mean, with this being the most recent game on this collection of 1988, they definitely want to show off the scaling effects, again, like with Typhoon, but kind of coming from the background like that, which is an interesting concept. Ooh, that was close. Let's use Little Baby. I just gotta be a little more, liberal with using him. Easily with that thing in the background, or coming into the background. I do like the idea that it shows that, so you have a sense of when it's going to be appearing. There we go. Now we're in good shape. Focus. Well, that's part of what these games tend to be. Especially to really get into it. Whoa! I do like the music in this. Actually, I like the music in all these games I'm playing. Alright, let's try one more time, and then we're gonna probably go on to something else. Okay, I guess that's nothing. Okay, it is something, alright. Actually, I wonder, can Little Baby hurt him? It looked like it could. Yes, it can. How much? I don't know. I also do love the fact they named that thing Little Baby. Okay. It's definitely gonna be a little tougher. Thankfully, it seems like I'm not getting killed by terrain. So I'm hitting the top and I'm not dying. And feasibly the bottom, too. Alright, fine. The bottom kills you. The top does not. Am I even doing any damage on this guy? Okay. So it is there. I thought it was there. It's just that arm thing, or tentacle, whatever it is getting in the way. Alright, so I basically just need to kind of loop around. There we go. Okay. It seems like he's not really shooting me, so... But he is blocking my shot that way. Let's see if I can lure him down. Uh-oh. Oh, that killed... You know what, let's kill him, and then we'll go on to the next game. Oh, that did kill him! Okay. So I went down, and I took him with me, and then got to use my continue, and back we are. Okay, so we'll try one more time, and then we'll go on to the next set of games. Or next game up, because I think that's how the next line of this is going to go. Yeah, I kind of wanted to get that, but I didn't want to touch the top. Actually, I guess the one thing that is pretty good, and I'm noticing, is that only my main ship will take damage. If the other little tiny things attached to me get hit, I'm going to be okay. Just the main one in the center. Yeah, now definitely it's showing off what's going on. Or again, use little baby, although I just hit B on it. That was a very funny way to win. I did not expect it. I was like, oh, I just got to do a next section. I was like, no, he's dead. Okay, fine. Alright, there we go. I mean, I'm noticing that this one doesn't have the variety of, I guess, shots and things the way that something like Gradius has. Uh-oh. That might have been a bad idea. Alright, we'll try one more time, and then we're going on this. And I guess that's the other thing. I've said that a couple times, like, oh, we'll just try once more. But again, we get a really good one. And actually, to be honest, all these have been pretty good. You kind of want to keep playing it. And you don't want to stop playing until it puts a limitation, like, oh, you have not enough continues, or something that degrade. Alright, fine. Now we're definitely going to end, so let's wait until the time runs out. There we go. Game over. So that is the line of Konami games we're looking at tonight, at least for now. I think we're gonna... There might be one other one in the line, but we wanted to start there and take a look at what that history was, and it's definitely a nice history. As far as this collection is concerned, you also do get a bonus book that gives, like, interviews with developers, other ideas for potential collections or releases, and then the Japanese versions, which they do actually name them. In fact, let me just briefly show this off. They call Gradius Gradius. They call Life Force Salamander, which was named in Japan. They called Typhoon Ajax in Japan. Akamajo Dracula is what the name of Helena Castle was. Gradius II Gopher no Yabo is Vulcan Venture. Thundercross is the same. And... Oh. Okay, hang on a second. One. Okay, so there's not a Japanese version of Twinbee apparently in this. Either they forgot it, or there wasn't one. Or wasn't a difference. But, okay, so with that, we're going to go home. Down to the nice group of Super Old Game Saturday shooters. Now, next on our list is going to be the newest one we've got on this list. This is an Xbox 360 game. This came out in 2007 as a downloadable release, and it was released free. If you had an Xbox 360, you went online for your Xbox Live Arcade situation, you could download this game for free. It's called Aegis Wing. It was developed by Carbonated Games, which is a team that did a lot of work on Xbox Live Arcade. In fact, they're even saying here, originally conceived and brought to life as an internship project at Xbox Live Arcade, Aegis Wing is brought to you free of charge. It's just too much fun not to share. The Xbox Live Arcade intern team of Scott Brody, Danny Dyer, and Matt Monson. So, PS1 shooter? I don't know if I have one. I might. I'm not sure if that's in my list, but I'll see what I got on that. But yeah, so here we are with Aegis Wing. So if the Xbox Arcade team is watching, this one's for you. Anyway, this was a free game, and it's kind of it's pretty typical shooting game. You have options as far as your ships. So you know what? Let's okay. You have difficulty changes, change color ship. This is gonna be a pretty basic one. And again, as a free project, it's not too bad. We're kind of in Gradius territory a little with how this lays out. One they also have is a really nice orchestral score. But also we have 3D polygons. I mean, I guess this is probably as close as we're going to get to PlayStation 1. Again, because I don't think the games I have on the list are ones that were on the PlayStation 1. I don't think. But again, as I go along, I might remember that there was one. Actually, one I don't have, I'd like to show off, but I need to get a copy of it, is Einhander, which was released by Square Enix. But that's kind of up there in price. Oh, okay, not insanely. It's kind of up there in price, and it's on PlayStation, so I'd have to pick that up. That would be that's actually kind of what this is like, in that you're going through the level and you have like these 3D polygonal backgrounds going on, but also have a lot of shoot. Don't remember the name. Well, actually, I think there was a Gradius on the PlayStation. I know there are Raiden games on the PlayStation. We're not going to touch the Raiden franchise tonight because I don't have any of the games. At least I don't think I do. But I think there was a variant of Raiden on the PlayStation as well. But again, as I go along, I'll also mention like what systems these came off. This was, again, as I mentioned, Xbox 360. It is totally backwards compatible with Xbox One. And if you were lucky enough to get an Xbox Series S or X over the Black Friday weekend or over the past month, it'll play on that no problem too. Okay, now I'm dying a lot. Now, the other thing about this game is if you hit... Okay, no, you have to pick up your power-ups. So you pick up those little coins, avoiding tons of bullets, and by doing that, you hit, B, and you get your shield out. And look, they bounce right off. I like that. Oh, and they reflect into shots for your enemies. And by the way, the other thing about me dying is that I also have a life bar in this game. This is not a situation where you're dying in one hit. Might have been nine-hander as far as PlayStation. Yeah, I would think so. That seemed to be one of the ones that made a lot of attention. I mean, I know there was entries into the Thunder Force franchise that were also on PlayStation. They're very kind of small releases as far as that kind of shooting situation, but we are going to have some 32-bit representation. That's coming at the end of our extravaganza tonight, and I'll let you know when we get to that. All right, we got electricity, which I don't know what that does. I also got to be a little careful. Yeah, this isn't really a bullet hell shooter, but there's a lot of bullets to avoid. I'll always try and see if I can defeat this, because apparently I did beat this game. I don't remember doing it, but I have the achievement to prove it, to show that I beat this. Okay, there we go. Homing missiles. Oh, so I can just use these. So I do like this idea that you kind of collect your weapons this way, and then can kind of use... Oh, okay, I shouldn't have used it there, because then he goes white in the center of the screen, and... Oh, there you go. Laser shot. We're getting somewhere with him. I know we are, because he's changing color, and it's usually... Oh, health. Oh, okay. Not gonna be able to use that, but I'm on my last life now, so I'll have to pick up that one. I mean, I guess in some ways this is like Einhander, just to go back as far as like the production quality. Again, especially for a game that was released free, there is quite a lot of effort that's put into it. Then again, I played stuff of carbonated games on the 360, particularly their variants of Uno, which is terrific. And they always tended to do a good job. In the Dagon, I've only had one game, one-time visit. Okay. So there we go. So that's the first level, and we're going to see where else we go with this. Right, you open up different levels as you go along. Let's try one more. Oh, wait, no, hold on. We'll go back. That's fine. Or no, I mean, I guess I only got the one stage. I remember there was something weird as far as how the opening... Yeah, the stage unlock went on this game. Let's try it one more time, and then afterwards we are going to move on to another one. Because again, this is going to be kind of a quick succession, because I have about 20 games to get to, and we've already went through about 8 so far, so we're actually making good time. But again, something of just exploring the genre and our memories with this. And any other shooting memories in the chat that you have, let me know, and we will talk about them. Because again, that's kind of the beauty of games like this, where I can explain to you, generally speaking, what's happening in them within like a few minutes. And then from there, just go into more of a broad discussion of what our memories might be, or some of the other games that you're thinking of. Again, like Einhander for PlayStation. I've never played it, but I've heard very good things about it. It looked really nice. And the idea of really showcasing the 3D technology of the PlayStation, which is really the big focus at the time, which is why a lot of like the plane shooters that were on PlayStation tended to not be appreciated at the time, and have since become a bit of collector's items, depending on which ones they are. back to the laser guy again. Okay, I was trying to get close to him to see if I could use that laser thing, because it seems like it's like a force field or something that envelops, so I was thinking, well, I'll need to use that. Thankfully, there is that period there where the enemies come out, give items or health. If I use that. And actually, I do like that aspect. Actually, I think this is, aside from Twinbee, the first game we've shown where you don't die in one hit. Okay, Twinbee you could feasibly not die in one hit, but in this one you have life bar, so that helps. I don't know if that's actually doing anything. Because again, it's been a while since I played this game. I got it free when it was up on Xbox Live Arcade, and I think you can still get it. I don't think they delisted this. I don't think there's really any reason to delist it that I can think of. Because usually the reason that happens is because of licensing situations, but apparently, in the case of this one, I don't think that happened. Oh, okay, that's what the laser does. It disables the ship, and it also sucks in the bullets. Okay, that's clever. So yeah, this is definitely an interesting idea about how its power-ups are changing the mechanics of how the game operates, or how games like this tend to operate. And same with the missiles which lock on. So you do strategy like, okay, I don't want that because I want to use the lasers up, or the missiles, I should say. More round, I'll do it, and we have... Oh, shield, okay. Okay. Alright, I got a little too overzealous with that. I think one more cycle we should have. And then after that, I think we'll go to another game. Alright, there we go. Got him. So there we go. Yeah, I wonder why it's not giving me other levels. I'll have to take a look at why that is, but there's something weird with that. But yeah, this game also had a co-op mode, by the way. You could play it locally, or you could play it online, and it had 4-player support, so that's another interesting situation for this one. And definitely, I think it's the only cooperative shooter that I have tonight. I think. But we'll find out in just a second. Let's return to arcade or to my games list. We're going to go back to the nice group I set up. Okay, so to answer your question saying where's a PlayStation shooter, yeah, I don't have one unless you count Galaga because I got a PlayStation port in place. And yeah, that's it. That would be the only example. But with that, we're going to talk about Namco a little bit. Now, this is going to be an interesting situation because I have discs that we're going to have to be using to play some of this stuff. And the reason I'm using Xbox One in particular is because when I put a disc in or come back to the menu, it does not cut the feed. Because a lot of times I noticed, well, I'd want to do this with PlayStation back in September. And I said, I can switch between games. And then I realized, oh wait, my capture device, the feed goes out and stops the stream if I go into something else. But in this case, no, it doesn't. So we're going to be playing Galaga, and this is on a disc. This is an Xbox Live Arcade game, actually, or at least these next two are. But what happened is they released them on a disc, the Namco Museum Virtual Arcade for the Xbox 360. Now, the backwards compatibility situation. That game was set up as a couple of situations. There are a bunch of Xbox Live Arcade games, of which Galaga is one of them, and there's 7 others. They're all backwards compatible on the Xbox One, except Xevious, for some reason. But then the other side of it was the Virtual Arcade side, which was its own game. Now, on the 360, they separated that out so that it's going to be the Xbox Live Arcade side of things and the not Xbox Live Arcade side of things. Now, for Xbox One, the disc for Namco Museum Virtual Arcade works, but it only gives you access to the games that they actually made backwards compatible. It sounds confusing, and when I play that actual collection on the 360, I'll explain that more, but for the purpose that I need that disc in my console to play Galaga, and the next Galaga game we're going to be playing. But let's talk Galaga. This is one of the earliest games we'll be talking about tonight, from 1981. Let's get the cloud save set up. Now, I guess this isn't so much a flight shooter exactly, it's just a shooter. From Namco, released in 1981, and it's the sequel to Galaxian from 1979. And it does what I think every great sequel should do. It takes the foundation of its predecessor and builds on it. And in this case, I think it builds on a way that kind of makes Galaxian obsolete, unless you're going back for curiosity's sake, which is worth doing. But, okay, this is a game I have way too many memories of this to count. This is one of those games, whenever I go into an arcade and they have this, I'm always going to be playing it. I'm always mashing the ever-living hell out of the buttons to shoot. But thankfully, those machines were designed well around that, and you really get into it. If you've seen people play that game like crazy, or seen me play like crazy, just the way you're rapidly hitting that fire button, or in this case, getting yourself captured, well, that's how you got to go about it. Now, let's get this started. I think you hit start. God, I love that so much. All right, so we got our little Galaga. Hit the A button to shoot, and the bugs come down, you shoot them. Simple as that, but there's a lot more going on to this game that gives it a lot of strategy. And you saw it in the demo, or the attract mode that was starting off. They fly up, and then I gotta shoot them and not get hit. And you get more points, I believe, when you shoot them when they're flying down. But those things will shoot the tractor beam out. Now, you can avoid it, or you can get captured by it. Now, what you want to do is you want to get captured by it. This is also assuming you've never played this game, but again, you get captured, you lose a life. But if I shoot that Galaga when it comes down with my ship, I can't shoot it before, and I don't want to shoot the ship, otherwise it dies and I'm screwed. Okay, that never happened before. I shot it and got hit. Okay, so what I was trying to do is I was trying to save my other Galaga ship so that when it came down, I'd have double firepower. But I got hit with my other ship, so I also lost that and basically just got my ship back as it was. I actually never had that happen before. I can do it in the next stage, and you have to at least have one extra life in order to do this in stock, so you do have a bit of strategy on how you want to handle this. And certain areas where you can't, just go willy-nilly trying to, let yourself be captured. Or, of course, if you've ever played Super Smash Bros., Wii U, or 3DS, or Ultimate, you know that thing is the bane of your existence when someone throws it out, because it's almost impossible to avoid getting killed if you get caught in the beam. And sometimes I gotta let him just go by if he starts shooting. That's the tell for the green ship up there. If he flies down and starts shooting, he won't throw the tractor beam out. I also don't want to kill too many of these guys, because if I do, they'll just come down in a rapid fire. Okay, I lied. They will sometimes shoot. So there we go. Let's get caught again. I'm going to try and get this right. Alright. Let's try again. Oh! Alright, that's game over. Alright, so... Alright, let's try this again. That's embarrassing. Although, to be fair, I'm better playing this in the arcade. Nothing against the 360 release, because this is a perfect port of the arcade game. Dead on. And there are achievements for it, but I have them all already. This is not a hard game to get them all out of. So let's try this again, and I'll rock it that way. But again, I tend to be better playing this in arcade. Maybe just the feel of the joystick, or also just the tactile feel of that shoot button. Again, if you ever played this game in the arcade, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't want to kill I don't kill the other ship. Because only those ones at the top, which will take 2 hits, by the way, to kill, will shoot the tractor beam down. Again, let them go. Sometimes it's about patience. Yeah, I do like that about this game. Just the idea that, yeah, you have strategy to fill out. There we go. Guess while I'm trying to do this, what are some of your memories, chat, of anything Galaga-based or of Namco in general? Because we got 2 games of Namco's, this one included, that we're talking about. But that's going to be the extent of our coverage of them tonight. come on. Yeah, I want this thing to shoot. See, now I'm trying to get it. This is the one I think I'm running into the record curse. Ooh, that was close. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Feeling good this time. Remember, I gotta hit him twice. And not shoot my ship, because you can shoot your ship as it comes down and it's gone. But if you don't, you get double firepower. Here we go. Now the game is, I'm not gonna say effectively won, but it's a lot easier now because you have double shots. And unlike Galaxian, where you only have one bullet you can shoot at a time, you have multiple bullets you can shoot at a time, so you basically just keep hitting that fire button and decimate the field. But also avoid getting shot, because if any of those touch my other ship, I'm screwed, and I do not want my other ship to go away yet. Here we go, because we're at the challenging stage. Every so often you get these, and you run into situations where, again, having dual lasers makes this a joke. They call them, you get a great bonus. Perfect. There we go, and I got an extra life. There we go. Now that's the Galaga experience. That's the feeling you get when you're... That's just that great feeling you get when you totally master a challenging stage, get all the points, kill everything on screen. And I believe it's impossible to do that with a single shot, or the single ship. So that's why you want to have that double ship, and you also have to watch out, because in the later levels you have some of the ships transforming into other things, like these. Alright, so stage 5. See how long we take this, and then we're going to go on the next game, which is also Galaga related, but it's going to be something quite different, let me tell you that. Ooh, yeah, this is where some of those ships just start coming down as they go into place. Some of them will just go up to the top, but then they'll also come downwards. Right, stage 6. I'm gonna try and get the ship again, because I have an extra life to do it. Or maybe not, I don't know if... I was gonna say, I don't know if... Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get those. Because when I get them into a pattern like this with the last couple, they'll just keep coming down. It also means that the one that can shoot the tractor beam out will not shoot the tractor beam out ever. Okay, so I'm basically just going to be going to my next life, and then we'll go on to the next game. Alright, so there's the next challenging stage. I'm not getting all of them this way, but you still do pretty decently. But they also change the patterns up, so they're going in a nice little synchronized circle like that, which I always like that. You can still do pretty decently with the single shot, but I think in some cases it's almost impossible to do it because of the speed they go away, and also for some of the ones that take multiple shots. But at least we got 36. You got to your variations of what happens when you get all of the enemies on the challenge stage and when you don't. So in that case, I'm satisfied. Also, as we go along, they get moving a lot faster upwards and then downwards towards me. By the way, when they drop down the screen, by the way, like that, they are not going to come back. So there's at least that, but again, they can take you out as they come along like that, so that kind of is difficult. Oh, especially when they turn into those little things. Oh, yeah. This is the one time I don't want to do that because I don't have an extra life. Alright, stage 9. Alright, so that's that. So I'm dead. But a pretty good run at level 9. Yeah, 60% hit ratio. Ooh, okay, so we got a high score. Plays an old arcade up in New York. It's quite an experience to play games like this. And there are achievements. I got them all already, so we're not going to have any of them. But just for, just to show this off, let's go off into the achievements list. Play up to stage 30, which you could cheese because every time you beat a stage, you can continue back at that stage. Find the blue spaceship. That's the things that there's enemies transfer into. Get to stage 20. Find the mosquito. Shoot down all the enemies at challenges stage, which I did. Play to stage 10. Find the Gal boss during battle. Find the Dragonfly during battle. Shoot down a captured fighter. So you have to basically intentionally do that. Stingray, which I found. Scorpion, which I found. And the dual fighter, which I did. Yeah, but I unlocked all this stuff. Wow, 11 years ago. Okay. Man, where's the time gone? But there we go. So, let's turn the menu. Next up on our list is another situation of Galaga. And actually, I lied. This is Aegis Wing is not going to be the most recent shooter we're going to play. We're going to play one from 2008. This is Galaga Legions. This is definitely a different take on Galaga. That is its own thing. It was released as an Xbox Live Arcade game in 2008, and the only other port of it was on the 3DS of all places. Now, that's the other reason I showed Galaga off. Like, okay, so here's old Galaga. We all know and love that. So what was the new take? This is basically Namco taking a look at Galaga and saying, let's give it the same treatment that we gave to Pac-Man Championship Edition, where they take this classic arcade game and give it a modern look over. And I think they also were looking at Geometry Wars pretty significantly with this one. And I'm going to warn you right now, if Sensory Overload is not a thing for you, you might not like what you're going to see, but there we go. Let's take a look.
Welcome, 033830. Executing GSI. Confirming mission and weapons.
Alright, so you have options as far as how to play. You have your Venture mode, you have Championship mode, demos of things, a tutorial. Because this does sort of play like it, but also kind of doesn't. We're going to take a look at Adventure mode. And they give you the option of auto fire and manual fire. You're thinking, like, dirty casual game turning into this. Not really. This is actually a lot different, but we're going to go manual fire anyway. And you'll see why this is different. You also have options of skins, vintage, original. We're going to vintage. They theme it a little after the original game. Alright, here we go. So you're on a screen like this, shooting at the Galagas, and you have multiple levels that you're going. Oh, right trigger shooting, not A. Now what you want to do is you gotta shoot the chains of enemies, but you have to shoot that big bulbous thing on the end of them like that. I definitely see this nice, or kind of trippy display thing, but you're also seeing tons of enemies on screen. This isn't so much a bullet hell shooter as it's an enemy hell shooter. At this point, we have to shoot through these enemies and get to the one that'll destroy everything else. There's big Galagas up there. And definitely with this techno music, again, they were paying attention to Geometry Wars and to Pac-Man Championship Edition, which definitely did this. Though I think I like Pac-Man Championship Edition a little better, because it seems like it plays more like it's... Oh, right, yeah, that's definitely out of Geometry Wars. We hit that thing, and it's suck in there, and then you get a Galaga capture. And now we have more enemies to help us shoot. Yeah, I told you this game was intense, as far as everything that's on screen. It seems like this might make it too easy, but again, because of all the numbers of enemies that are coming on screen, you gotta have to be careful about a lot of the things going on here. I almost just want to ask chat, like, what are we thinking about this insane Galaga? This is Galaga on crack, but it's kind of a good game. I mean, it's not bad. It may be a little too much in some ways, but I kind of also appreciate that about it. Okay, yeah, if you hit the Galagas, you're in trouble, so obviously in that case, and you lose everything. I think you also have the option, because I haven't played this in a while, to set those other ships to shoot in multi-directions. He doesn't have an explosive thing, so I gotta shoot them all down. There we go. They want to get him out of the way enough. There we go. Because that's how you want to get high scores. We're getting massive high scores just as far as what I'm doing. And you get chains going by busting down the ones that'll destroy everything.
New Galaga formation confirmed.
They do give you a hint of where they're coming by those little techno boxes or those little wire boxes that are coming off the sides. Yeah. Here's the other difference, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, is that you're moving not just left to right, but up, down, left, and right. Which again makes sense in this kind of game, at least. But it is definitely a change-up if you're familiar with old Galaga. There's also a sequel to this called Galaga Legions DX. I never played it, and it was the only one that got released to PS3, as well as 360. Again, this one didn't. Okay, so I got it on the ship.
Large Galaga expected.
In some ways, it's kind of hard in the sense that sometimes you got to really pay attention to where you are and what's going on. I can get the idea of people not being able to play this one, honestly, because of just how much of a sensory overload it is. In fact, I'm going to be imagining that the reason that Chad is not saying anything on the back of this is because they're probably on the ground writhing or something. But hopefully you're all right. But all right, I just died. So, no, okay, I thought I was on my last life, but apparently not. They just bouncing off. Okay, they chain when you hit them. Alright, got it. Alright, that's good. I'm glad to hear you're still with us.
Sending battle data to headquarters.
Okay, so when you go through a bunch of levels, you get another section given to you. So again, this is definitely a different take on, again, I'm going to go until I get game over and see what happens. Honestly, this is a game I got when it was in this collection, but I haven't necessarily sat down and played it as much as I would have thought. Especially compared to Pac-Man Championship Edition, where I played that game like crazy. That one, the DX version, and even the second one, which I'm not that huge on. But, alright, so we're game over on this one. Okay, I got 2 achievements, but I think I already have them. Alright, so I got to Area 2. I think I have Championship mode where you go in each area for points. I think we are good for the time being with this one. I think I made the point on it, and honestly, I don't have much else to add as far as this one's concerned. Now, let's see. Next on our hit list, I gotta do a disc switch. We're going to take a look at Atari. Now, this is going to be the oldest game we're going to be taking a look at, and this is actually, there's only one game on this that would go for shooting in this. This is going to be the Atari Flashbacks Classics Collection, Volume 2. It was released on the PS4 and Xbox One, and I think it's on the PC as well. And there's a variant on the Switch that has volumes 1, 2, and 3 on one card. So if you're looking for, I guess, the definitive variants, it probably is on Switch because it has all the games in one. And it's 150 across these three. This is the second, which has 50 of them from Atari, Code Mystics, and At Games. Also, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. You might want to because one of these is an old arcade game, and it gets a little louder. I remember realizing that when I was playing this the other day. But before we get to that, I just want to quickly go over some of the games that are in this. You have your Asteroids and Asteroids Deluxe, Adventures of Major Havoc, Sprint, Super Breakout, Missile Command, which I love, Crystal Castles, which I love, even though most of the home ports of that just can't be played without the trackball in the arcade. And then Gravitar. You also get a bunch of Atari 2600 games in here. We've got Adventure, Breakout, Crystal Castles, Asteroids, Casino, Demons to Diamonds, Double Dunk, Champion Soccer, Atari Video Cube, Basic Math, it's a math game, Brain Games, Concentration, Codebreaker, Flag Capture, Golf, Gravitar, Night Driver, Real Sports Basketball, Hangman, Off the Wall, Real Sports Tennis, Haunted House, which is a game that's a favorite of a couple people I know, Outlaw, Return to Haunted House, Secret Quest, Race, Maze Craze, Missile Command, Real Sports Baseball, Sentinel, and one more page of stuff. We got Skydiver, Submarine Commander, Video Pinball, Super Breakout, Space War, Starship, Surround, Video Checkers, Video Chess, Street Racer, and Stellar Track. Now, for shooting section of this, we're doing Red Baron. One thing I do want to check, though. I'll check the controls on this. Ace Fire. Game. No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll end that game because it saves. When you do this, it saves the game where you're starting. Okay, starting lives, display. You turn on the bezel the arcade game. What the hell? Let's turn it on. Posting message. This because it's online. You also turn on scan lines and things. We're good. Alright, so let's take a look at Red Baron. This came out in 1980, and this is vector graphics. Vector wireframe look. And if you've ever played Battlezone, this is going to look a little familiar. I think Battlezone came out before this. I think. But unfortunately, Battlezone's not in this collection, so I can't confirm that. But, yeah, we have... This is technically a plane shooter, but it's a first-person perspective plane shooter, where you're flying around shooting at the enemies that come. So we hit... I think it's Y on this. No, hey, never mind. There we go. Go around and look at all those vector graphics. Yeah, back in 1980, when games were either sprites or, like, simple drawings, you had games like this in Battlezone, and a lot of stuff on the Vectrix in particular, that was doing 3D graphics with a vector display, and also just with, you know, like, all these outlines of things going. It looks a little simple, okay, very simple, but it has a nice appealing style, and it's still pretty fun to play. Just fly around, shoot stuff. And every so often you get planes, but they will shoot back, and if you are not careful, you'll get killed. Alright, there we go. Got the point bonus. Actually, another game feasibly now I'm thinking about... Okay, I got a life. Another game I'm thinking about as far as vector graphics, and I can't show this off tonight, but I can at some point, is actually the Star Wars arcade games. They're in Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 for the GameCube, and the original is a wireframe arcade game as well, which also has, like, digitized voice from the film. We can get to that when we get to that. And again, I think because it's ancient enough, nobody's going to complain about copyright. There are fortunately some Star Wars games I don't think I can play on the back of that, but we can make do on that at some point. But yeah, so here you go. It's flying around with the nice vector graphics. I do like the blue of this, whereas Battlezone was a green game as far as how its display worked. But it's still surprisingly smooth. Of course, you gotta avoid getting shot. I'm actually doing pretty well so far. Or I crash into it and then die. But I got lives. Woo! Alright, so chat, what are we thinking as far as vector graphics? Any experience with them? Oh, right, you shoot too much and your guns overheat. Oh! And they can crash into you. And also because we're in a first-person perspective, it's surprisingly immersive. We're getting shot. So again, tell me what your thoughts are on vector graphics, what you experience with games with them, and what you're thinking about what you're seeing. My guns overheat again. so I guess Chad is thinking how funny it is going back to something like this, which again is like, it is an interesting situation to go back to. And again, I'd love to show off Battlezone in particular, but I don't think I have the collection that has it. Or, no, in this system I don't. I have a collection on the Dreamcast that has it. Does Battlezone count? Yeah, sorta. I mean, I guess as far as a shooting game it counts. As far as a flight shooter, no. But we'll get to Battlezone at some point. I have the Atari Anniversary Edition for the Dreamcast, which I can go to at some point now. Okay, so I got a great score. Let's go to... Alright, this is kind of weird, because the press of the button for the joystick, it seems like it's actually very slow going through this. I didn't recognize that. And also, unlike Battlezone, we don't have the tune from the 1812 Overture when you get a game over going... But, again, we can show Battlezone off. As I said, I have the Atari Anniversary Collection for Dreamcast, and that will be another one to show off. The only reason I picked this one is because A, it's on Xbox One, and B, this is the only collection I have that has this game. In fact, actually, this collection, when I bought this, I think 3 years ago, I bought this, I think when Toys R Us was going out of business. I bought a bunch of stuff that was on sale, and this is one of them. And so I picked this up. So yeah, the first time I played this was about 3 years ago. So I'm not necessarily that experienced with Red Baron, although I am more experienced with Battlezone. I've been playing Battlezone ever since I was a kid. Particularly on the Microsoft Arcade for the PC, which had it. And a couple other Atari arcade games as well. In fact, that was actually the first time I ever really had an idea of, like, what is Atari. I just love, like, the pittering of the bullets as well. But it is still pretty immersive, this game, just as far as, like, the styling of it, and maybe also the first-person perspective. Again, Battlezone, that's a familiarity thing, although it also kind of reminds me of, and I don't know how many in the chat are familiar with this, Red Alarm for the Virtual Boy, which was also kind of a game like this. It also had, like, a wireframe perspective, but that definitely was a little different of a situation behind me. But again, I can't necessarily see that, so you basically want to shoot them when you see them. Oh, and they start shooting at me from behind. Okay. Your controls, by the way, are not really that much. You're moving left and right, and you're shooting with the A button in this case. And you're basically moving left and right, I guess, to get around them, so that feasibly they don't ambush you. Or almost crash into you, like that one. Yeah, the enemies are getting a little more... The guns already... I want to see something. Okay, yeah, you do get points for destroying the trees. Alright, let's do one more life. It's kind of hard to avoid some of these things when you have so many things going on, but again, it's also kind of immersive. I'm actually kind of leaning myself left and right as I go along, which is kind of an interesting sign as far as some ways. We're going to do this one more time, and then we're going to go on to the next game. Because in a lot of ways, I kind of have said basically everything that there is to say. Actually, you know what? I think we will go on from just this. So I'll put in my name, and then we'll go on to the next game, which I don't think I need a disc switch for. Alright, so there's my high scores. Let's hit the start, the main menu. Alright, so with that, we're all set. Let's go home. Yeah, and I'll close out of this. Oh, no, don't want to manage that. There we go. Now, okay, so we looked at Konami, we looked at Microsoft, we looked at Namco, we've looked at Atari, but one company we haven't touched yet, and this is going to be the only game we're going to look at them, is from Capcom. Now, probably wondering, why are we looking at the Disney Afternoon Collection, which, by the way, came out 3 years ago for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Sorry, Switch owners, you didn't get this, and I know a lot of Switch owners who are mad they didn't get this, because this came out right when the Switch did. But, anyway, this is a collection from Capcom, and developed by Digital Eclipse. Definitely got some skill with porting old stuff, and that's what this is. So you get this 8-bit rendition of the old Disney Afternoon, if you remember it, from television. all these old cartoons from the late 80s and early 90s. So what Capcom decided to do is, hey, let's get the licenses back for some of this stuff and put a collection out of, I think, 6 games they had based on old Disney afternoon shows. So we have DuckTales, we have Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, we have TaleSpin. This is a game we're going to be playing because this is a flight shooter. We have Darkwing Duck, which is kind of like Mega Man, pretty much. Basically the unofficial Mega Man 7, as far as NES is concerned. DuckTales 2, and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2. These last two in particular cost a fortune in their original form, like over $300 fortune. And they're expensive games. So $20 for this thing is actually a pretty good deal, and it's usually they put it on sale. So you're going to run into situations where you can get it for a lot less than that. But for tonight, we're going to take a look at TaleSpin. Now, I don't know how many of you in the chat are familiar with this show. It was a weird spin-off of The Jungle Book, of all things, where you had Blue the Bear, who is a cargo pilot in a 1940s-style seaside town, who's basically running deliveries for Becky Cunningham, who's voiced by Sally Struthers in the television show. We're going to see her in just a second. Start button. Like, there she is, and her daughter, whose name escapes me at the moment. And basically they're kind of flying, you know, cargo around while trying to avoid Don Carnage, the air pirate, who's being run by Shere Khan, who's like a big media tycoon in this show. It's actually a pretty interesting and strange show with a great Calypso theme song. And it's also on Disney Plus now, so if you have Disney Plus, boot it up, the whole series is on there. It's really nice. But anyway, we got assignments to go through and shoot around and avoid Don Carnage with the cargo planes. So fly over the sea, find your destination. Watch out for Don Carnage, he'll be waiting for you. If you have to find more cargo, pick it up and deliver it. This is also the only NES game we're going to talk about now. By the way, here's the thing we're going. You fly around as Blue in the Sea Duck, shooting out bullets. You only have one bullet. But I can also go back and hit the A button, fly upside down. But you're going backwards in the level too, so you can pick up the items you missed. Or go forward like that while avoiding the pirates. But unfortunately, you don't get many shots to use. So you're not going to be able to rapid fire this one though much. Plus you gotta avoid Don Carnage there, otherwise he'll shoot you down and you die. I actually didn't grow up with this game, interestingly enough, even though I grew up with the television show. I grew up with the Genesis game, which is a totally different beast. And not as good as this, in all honesty. But, you shoot Don Carnage enough, he'll fly away. But I do like the idea of flying upside down. It adds the cartoony feel, while also, again, giving an interesting gameplay mechanic of, hey, I missed something going forward, but I can go back and get it. While also avoiding the enemies and the bubbles that shoot down. There we go. So I'm able to do that in order to get health and power-ups for money. Or no, get money, I should say. This is pretty basic as far as how this works. You get the fruit for points, and you just shoot the bullets. But again, you only have one bullet to shoot, but to compensate for that, you don't have as many enemies, and you usually will die in one hit. So it's definitely more of a shooter you can play with your kids, feasibly. Unless they grew up on something like Life Force or Gradius, in which case they'll say, like, oh yeah, I can handle this game. But again, if you're looking for a primer for this kind of genre, it's not a bad choice. And if you like Disney and this show, it's definitely a good representation. Actually, one thing I also show off. I'm going to hit left bumper. This collection does have a rewind feature. I'm not going to use it extensively, but I just want to show that off. So I was like, yeah, I died. No, I didn't. I can keep going. It definitely is a nice one to show off, because, yeah, I'm playing an NES game on... You know, I'll do it one more time. I'm playing an NES game on the Xbox One, which is definitely an interesting situation to be able to do. This, by the way, is the only NES representation we're going to have tonight, but I figured let's throw it in for the purpose of variety. Right, one more, we're going to go through that. Screw it, I'll do that. Because you do have checkpoints in this game. Well, okay, we got a way back checkpoint. Alright, fine, I guess I'm going to let myself die. I want to at least get to the next stage, just to show that off. I haven't played this game much and it shows, but okay, we got a game over, but you do have continues, and you have a limited number of continues, but you can buy more, and that's an interesting thing I want to show off at the very least before we go on to the next game. Go away, Mr. Carnage. I kind of wish we had voice acting in this game. I know it's NES, but I kind of wish we still had something to that. Oh, I didn't even see it. I kind of wish we did, because I just love the voice acting on that show from all the people involved. Particularly as far as Carnage is concerned, who I think an internet celebrity kind of mentioned this as far as like their talk about this. It's like Ricky Ricardo from I Love Lucy left Lucy, took his traveling band on the road, and decided just to start robbing the shit out of people. Which is a good way of putting it. And you have, I don't remember who voices him. I think it's Jim Cummings on the television show. And he has this just hilarious voiceover going on as far as him, like, trying to do all these things. Like, this fake accent from God knows where to kind of emphasize that. Let's get rid of him, just because I want to get rid of him. Yeah, they fly out after me, so I gotta be careful. Actually, I might use this... If I need to, I'm gonna use the rewind just to get through this part. I at least want to show off the shop concept of this game. Well, I could have actually gotten that. But I could use the health. Because I think you die from hitting something. You know what? Okay, no you don't. Never mind. I thought you did. So this is definitely a little more of a forgiving game than something like Gradius or Life Force. And again, with this rewind feature, I can abuse the ever-living hell out of that, but under normal play, I probably wouldn't. Probably. Alright, there we go. I don't remember if there's a boss at the end of... Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah, to hit the periscope on this, thankfully I can hit the bottom of the screen, no problem, and kill. But, yeah, again, we're using Rewind to show this off. So, again, this is more of a show-off this game than a skill game, especially because I've barely played this. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's try one more time. Right, the missiles. You know what, I'll let myself die once. No, I'm not gonna let myself die. Because I didn't know it tosses me all the way back there. There you go. Alright, so this boss is a little tough because he shoots out those shots, and then he shoots the missiles out, and as soon as they come up to you, they come towards you. So the way to avoid them is basically have them come up, and then go out that way, but you can also shoot the missiles down. Yeah, in this case, I think I want to at least be... Oh, not in close proximity. Far enough proximity to avoid it. I got stuck on the side of the screen. Alright, there we go. Or if you want to do this right, I think the other way is also be on the bottom of the screen so you can hit him, and also get the missiles to come at you quicker. Okay, got him. Job well done. But you get points for the loads you pick up as far as the objects, and also the bags of money. Alright, so here's the other thing about this game that I want to show off, is that by collecting money, you're able to buy parts for your ship in the shop, and that also includes buying continue memos, which means you get extra continues. You can also buy engine parts, you can buy body parts, you can also buy rapid shot power-ups as well, which we... Actually, you know what? I know the rapid shot doesn't really do it that much, so let's try the Mace Sea Duck. Oh, right, that's an extra life. Actually, you know what? In that case, I'm going to use the rewind here. We're going to get the shots. Yeah, fire away, fire fast. So in that case, I need to confirm that, and then hit the B button, and start. And we get our next level. I'll show this off briefly as far as the baseball stadium. I almost get the sense that Capcom was, this is like the primer of what Strike Man's level in Mega Man 10 would look like, even though Capcom didn't end up deving that when it eventually came out. But yeah, we're in the baseball stadium shooting stuff. And we have a faster fire rate here, so we can shoot 2 bullets out instead of 1. I also like the idea of this, where you're kind of like not just going side-scrolling, but then you're kind of just scrolling down like this. Whoa. While avoiding mines. Which you could also shoot, it seems. I'm gonna keep going until I get my next game over, and then we'll go to the next game. Actually, here's the other situation. Oh, alright, fine. I got crushed that way, but actually... Alright, I was gonna say, I could get crushed in the walls, but... Unlike other games, I have that A button so I can go backwards, so I can feasibly save myself if it responds. There we go. That's an interesting situation. We haven't run into that too much. Situations where you're stuck in a corner. And especially there. Other games you play, you usually put an item in the corner where it's impossible to get. But in this case, oh, you have a reverse button so you can get it and go back and still be safe. Which again, makes this a very unique shooter as far as that. Another bit of health. Oh, now it's a night sky. That's nice. Yes, that it's the little things, like that nice attention to detail, which a lot of the Capcom NES Disney games did. And I'll have to show a couple of those off, particularly Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, because that's the one I'm most familiar with. Actually, it feels like I could use this to show it off. Or I could just use the original, because I do have that one in the NES. In fact, I think it's the only one I own the physical version of. Alright, so now Baseball Man here, we gotta shoot him in the cannon. Or die. You know, let's see what happens when I get back. Okay, that's game over. Alright, sorry, Blue. So we have multiple continues, we're not going to use them. Okay, so with that, that's the end of TaleSpin. Definitely the cutest and probably easiest game played, but I'm certainly not making it look that way. Within the Disney Afternoon Collection. Now, next we have a sort of return to Konami. I'll explain why. We're playing Radiant Silvergun. This is from Treasure. This was a game that released in the arcade in 1998, and it was also on the Sega Saturn, but it was only in Japan in both of those cases. It was then released in the US in 2011 as a downloadable game on the Xbox Live Arcade for the 360. It also plays on Xbox One and Series X and S. But this is a rare game, and it's a game that people adore. And it's kind of a precursor to the next game we're going to play, Ikaruga. And I think I mentioned this before. This is developed by Treasure. We've seen them before with stuff like Dynamite Heady, and I mentioned Gunstar Heroes last week. And there's another game of theirs I want to play semi-soon. But for now, we're playing this, which is a plane shooter. It's definitely a different take on it. I want to take a look at a couple things with my shots, because I barely played this. I bought this because I was afraid that this was going to get delisted. And given how expensive this game costs on Saturn, and I don't own a Saturn, I don't want to take a chance. It's like $15, by the way, as far as a download, but they also put it on sale every so often. And I'd say $15 compared to like $200, $300 on Saturn. I'm down with that. Anyway, let's go to arcade mode, normal play. Chain mode, number of ships, life extension, start. Alright, here we go. Now this is kind of more of the on-handed direction. In fact, I think this came out like right around the time. But unlike Einhander, it took way longer for this to come out in the US. Now you're this ship here, you're shooting stuff here, you're creating chains. Because again, this is a Treasure game, so there's always going to be some kind of unique mechanic they have to operate to it. And a lot of it is the chain aspect, and also some of the shots you have. You're seeing on the side of the screen there, okay, me dying, but on the side of the screen there, you're seeing you have weapons on different buttons. So if I'm hitting A, I have the normal shots. B, I have these walk-on shots. I have this kind of thing on X. Y, I have a forward and backward shot. Right trigger, I have a little sword that causes more damage. By the way, this is flashing lights territory, so if you're sensitive to that, you may want to look away. These would shoot out energy, and basically the point of this is that you have all these weapons at the same time, and you want to basically come up with the best way to utilize them based upon the situations. So you definitely have a lot of variations here, including here you're holding left bumper to shoot out these electric bolts, right bumper to shoot out these directional, the sword. The only button that doesn't do something is the left trigger. So we have 7 attacks that we're using as we go along. So that's kind of how they're varying this. It definitely is an interesting idea as far as how this is going, and I think, one of the first shooters of this kind from Treasure. There's other games they've made, obviously, as I've mentioned. We played Dynamite Heady. I've talked about Gunstar Heroes, which has a section kind of like this, but it's a different game totally. And I guess, okay, there is another one that was on PlayStation, Silhouette Mirage, which actually I think came out after this one. But yeah, we do have like polygonal graphics going on, and the aspect of its mechanics while avoiding all the shots and avoid crashing into stuff. I do like the idea that you have multiple weapons, so it gives you a little more variety as far as what you go about, and also, yeah, a lot of things like this where you have to avoid shots, so yeah, we're in bullet hell territory, and it's died and got a game over. But you do have credits. I think you can set it to free play, so you have unlimited. But yeah, also, like some of the other games we talked about, we have to maneuver around objects. Especially cases like this, where you have to wait for them to open, or get killed by touching them. So the key to this game is basically use your weapons the right way, and understand what they do, but in my case, I haven't been playing this game that long, so I don't have much familiarity. The next game, though, that's kind of a spiritual success of this, I do, and we'll get into that in a second. But there we go. And this is actually, looking at this, it's interesting that we're going polygonal with this, because, again, this is an arcade game first, but then it also came on Saturn, and the Saturn was not known for its polygonal prowess exactly. But you wouldn't be able to tell that from this game, because this game is actually utilizing it very nicely. And it's still pretty smooth, especially all the stuff that's going on screen, and me dying constantly. Again, this game is really has a reputation of being very difficult, as a lot of Treasure's games tend to. So that's no exception on this one. But again, the extent of my familiarity with that, I couldn't really tell you that much, because I haven't had this game that long. Actually, I bought it this year. Yeah, I bought it this year because I was going through like a buying spree of things that I feared would get pulled off from the digital stores, and this was one of them. I always want to get through this boss, if nothing else. Yeah, I'm not being that careful, but then again, there's also a lot of things going on. I guess this is the closest we've seen to Bullet Hell so far, and I think this is probably before Bullet Hell even had a name. Unless in 1998 it was known that way. I think it was just called Shmups, which I guess is kind of how the genre takes itself. So maybe I should have said it's the Shmup Showcase, but yeah, whatever. Alright, so I got him. Alright, so you get a bonus as far as your destruction rate. Probably should be using these other powers more. It seems like I'm just using it like shooting straight ahead. But then I'm also not necessarily sure like which suns I should use. But again, I think that's the idea of this game. Basically figuring out what's the best weapon to use for a specific situation or a specific enemy type. So it has a little more variety and a little more, I guess. Okay, no, I'm out of credit. So yeah, this is going to be a game over. All right, so you get chain points for that. And potential points to that. We're going to try one more time, and then we're going to go on to the next game, which I'm actually more familiar with. Actually, let's try the story mode. See what that's like. Chain mode, normal. Yeah, this is the game we're going to look at next. So I guess for this version, they give you the option of having a chain mode the way Ikaruga did it. Alright, here we go. So this is definitely in the anime style in the way that a lot of Treasure's games tend to be, particularly of this era. I'm thinking stuff like Guardian Heroes and I mentioned Silhouette Mirage before, but also, this one, Mission Bakers for Nintendo 64. That definitely was in that style. That came out, I think, the year before this one did. And that's a game I do want to show up at some point, because I have a lot of experience with that, and it's a good one. And again, another game that has unique mechanics in a genre that you think you've seen everything done to death in. impressed how this game is running, as far as all the stuff that's going on screen, and it never, you know, losing frame rate on this. Again, especially 3D stuff on Saturn, which doesn't necessarily have that prowess usually, based on the system. But this is quite nice. Actually, yeah, those cannons and those things are actually pretty good as far as the heat-seeking option here. Okay, I'm getting the chain up pretty strong on this one. Whoa, I thought I had died there. Okay, and you also combine the attacks. Yeah, because I'm pressing the A button, but I'm also hitting B, and then I hit both of them together to have another weapon. Okay. Oh, yeah, but that mech comes in, so that's what makes it a little harder. And that's also how it's going to be with the next game we're going to play, which again is also Treasure and is... Again, okay, I'll give it to you away. It's Ikaruga. We'll get into that when we get into that. I have a little more familiarity with that one than I did with this one. We got another boss here. It's definitely an interesting effect, but it is something that I guess that epilepsy warning is for a reason at the beginning of the game. Game over. Okay, so they don't give you continues as far as... Or... Okay, you do get a save. I'm curious what that's about. That's fine. Save over here. Get the top score in the area. Okay, let's put in name. Or no. Can I put back? Yes, BS. Okay, so that's good. Alright, so with that, I think let's take a look at the next game, which, as I mentioned, is Ikaruga. Kind of a spiritual successor to Radiant Silvergun. And the one I'm a little more familiar with. Now, this game came out in 2001 in arcades in Japan, and then it got ported to the Dreamcast in Japan in 2002, which is actually after the Dreamcast was done. It had already been discontinued at that time, and they put it out anyway, but we never got it. Until the next year when it came out for GameCube. It became enough of a cult thing that they said, hey, let's put it on Xbox Live Arcade. And actually, last year they ported it to Switch and PS4. So this game has gotten around quite a bit recently, and it's a good game, and I can see why. And it's one I have a little more familiarity with because I played this one more than Radiant Silvergun, but I'll explain how this is going to go, because this is an interesting situation. Again, as a Treasure game, it has unique mechanics. I'll not die until I achieve something, even though the ideal is high, I never give in, and therefore I never die with regrets. Okay, so, typical shooter, but you're noticing what is with those enemy types. You hit the B button, you switch polarity, you go black to white. You do more damage on white enemies with the black shots, and more damage on the black enemies with the white shots. You also get more points, and you get chains going on that. Also, when your ship is the same color as the shots, you absorb them. So you're going to be switching constantly. So in that case, shoot down the enemies, swap there, get more points, but also swap because then the white bullets, I can suck those up and be safe. The black bullets, I can suck up when I'm black. So there we go, going back and forth between them. Or you can just shoot them normally, get chain going, but not get as many points. So you have a lot of options as far as how you want to go about getting your chains going. And you also have a screen clear, or a homing attack. You hit the right trigger when you build up the bar at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, this is a bullet hell shooter in a sense, but it gives you a way to avoid the bullets. Now, funny story about this one. I've had other people play this game, because there are people who played the Toho games, which are definitely with a lot of shots like this. I was thinking, okay, they'll be able to manage this. They have a polarity situation. They can switch back and forth. It'll be easy for them to avoid it. They'll have no problem. That turned out to be a bad decision because they were dying constantly playing this game. And I never heard them swear as much. Because this game is hard. This game is really hard. And it only has 5 levels, so it's not a very long game. But the variety of its gameplay and the strategy of switching polarities and sucking up the bullets there and then shooting there to do more damage and increase your chain is the key of this one. And it definitely gives it a lot of life. In this case, sometimes got to be careful as far as how that is, moving left and right and avoiding the shots while knowing which ones to suck up. Now, here we go, coming up on boss. The game is approaching full throttle. Alright, again, polarity situation is same situation. Switch around, take care of the shots, but also you might want to switch around to be safe for the shots that match. Again, you'll still do damage with the same color shots if you have them, but you won't get as many points. So you can easily play the game this way, but it'll take a little longer to go through the bosses, and again, you won't get as many points. In a lot of cases, you have to switch back and forth anyway because of stuff like this. Whoa! Yeah, I didn't switch fast enough, so... Yeah, you do have one-hit kills in this game, but again, they do mitigate. That does make sense given the fact that, yeah, you're switching polarities all the time anyway. And also those stray bullets they put in of the other colors, so you have to dodge both of them at the same time. And the bosses have different forms, or multi-forms, and they're on time limit usually. With that, you get a nice slowdown-filled end. And off to the next section. There are only 5 levels, by the way, in this game, but don't think that that means this is easy or that you're going to necessarily get through this that quickly. Also, you have ranking, so that's the other situation. Actually, one thing I'll go back to, since this is the last game of Treasures we're going to talk about tonight, I mentioned the tie of Konami to them, and the way that worked is because Treasure is a company. They started out as people who worked at Konami, particularly working on games like Castlevania 4 on Super Nintendo. They branched out in 1993 and started their own company named Treasure and made stuff for Sega. And actually, in a lot of cases, they've had a lot of their stuff published by Sega. Again, Dynamite Headdy was one of them. Monster Heroes was another one. This is a weird case as far as how the publishing worked, because it was Atari who released this in the US for the GameCube anyway, and then Treasure published it themselves when it came to the Xbox Live version. I think Nicholas is publishing the Switch and PS4 versions now. But they kind of started off with Konami and then took the experience they had with games like Castlevania and then took that in here. Yeah, I got a game over. By the way, this is a game that's a little different because I got a game over and I don't have continues, but there is an option. And I'll show that off. Oh, no, I don't want to save the replay. I don't know what the hell, I'll save it. Yeah, you save replays of your game, and I think you can share them online, I believe. Okay, we're done. And you do have online leaderboards in this version, which I believe the new ones have as well. But as I was saying, you do have settings as far as options. You can turn the ability to have continues on, but when you do, your replays aren't saved. And I think it also doesn't give you achievements if you have it on. So basically, if you're learning this game, you want to have the achievements off, or you want to have the continue off. Or if you're learning it, you want to have it on, and if you're an expert or want to get your skills up, then you turn that continue option off. Actually, I may as well just show off what the achievements are, just give a sense. I haven't gotten many of these. They're mostly for beating bosses, and other ones for getting A ranks. So good luck on that, because you have to get A ranks in every level, and complete the game without continuing, and complete a chapter without shooting at all, which I don't know which one that is. We'll go one more time. Let's see, you do have a choice of ships, but I don't think in this case it's going to matter. And you play all the missions, or you can play each one you unlock. I unlocked 2. Let's play 2. Start back from that. So in that case, you have a continue option, technically, but again, you don't have your score for when you're playing going backwards. There you go. Yeah, okay, there we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going a little too crazy with the switching. But in some cases, that's kind of what you have to do in this game. Or you could feasibly play it safe. But again, a lot of options. I do like that about this game in particular. The fact that, again, like Radiant Silvergun, it gives a different twist on a genre that we played. And again, it is kind of a sort of more modern take on it. And it's one that, if you mention this game to shooter fans, they're like, oh yeah, they're definitely excited to be hearing that name. And understandably so. But yeah, this is where things get a little harder because you need to go through these areas and not touch anything. Oh, and not switch into bullets. And again, the screen's still scrolling, but unlike TaleSpin, we can't go the other way. Alright, we're going to try one more time on level 2. And then we're going to go on to the next game, which I think after this, it's going to be all Sega for the rest of tonight. But so far, this has gone pretty well. I'm liking the idea that I've been playing through just a bunch of different games, waxing a little about the ones I know, the ones I don't, kind of giving an overview of a take on a genre, and I've been enjoying it. So, and hopefully you guys in the chat have enjoyed it too. And again, I'm open to other suggestions for other genres. I heard try this for like beat 'em up games like Streets of Rage or Final Fight, which I would definitely be okay with that. I won't doing some of those individually, particularly Streets of Rage, or anything else. I guess feasibly in the case of something like that, it would be of games that you could feasibly just sample like one after the other, like this, or like games in this genre, I should say. Alright, I at least want to get through a little further than I did before. Okay, so in this case it looks like when I destroy the shots, or I destroy the chests that have a different color, the shots will shoot out, but if I shoot them with the opposite, they won't. But in some cases I have to shoot them because otherwise I will get hit by the bullets. This is where things are getting a little hairy, and again, you have to be very specific as far as how your movements are, and don't crash in the sides or you're gonna die. Be glad I have that shot there so I can avoid hitting into the enemies. One thing about this game, just to go into, I just love how it looks as far as all the stuff that's on screen, the fact that it's holding to 60 FPS, but it's just kind of like a ballet of bullets. In a way that a lot of bullet hell games are, although it's funny, again, I mentioned the experience I had with someone I put in front of us was swearing like crazy on this one, because of how hard it was. I don't know if I necessarily say this is bullet hell, at least not in the same aspect of something like Toho, say. But it definitely is an interesting title, and just wanted to recommend. And a cheap one on the Xbox Live Arcade, about $10, and I think it's like 10 or 15 on the other systems. But with that, we're going to move on, and we have a couple more to go, not too many. Yeah, the rest of these are going to be stuff on discs. Now, let me pull out the Atari collection. Now we're going to put in, you're probably wondering, like, what's that Shenmue 2 over there? Shenmue's a game I want to get into on this channel. I want to play that game and show off just how good it is and how engrossing it is. But we have Shenmue 1 and 2 here for the Xbox One, so it's on PS4 and PC. And it gives you Shenmue 1 and 2. Now the reason we're playing this tonight, we're going to Shenmue 2 in particular, because unlockable in this game are a couple old Sega arcade games from Yu Suzuki, who developed Shenmue, all the Shenmue's games, including the third one. And so they give you those as unlockables, and so in this collection, there are two in particular I want to show off. And I think all of these, except for one more, are going to be arcade... Oh, no. These two are arcade games, then they're Genesis games, and then we got the Saturn game. And we're going to finish it off with that Saturn game, which is going to be a nice one to show off. But anyway, Shenmue 2, again, we'll play this game and the first game probably to completion at some point. These are long games, though, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle that. I probably have to do that over multiple episodes, or just maybe do like one day where I just start early in the day and just play through a large amount of the game. Now, we're going to go into the Shenmue collection. I'm going to go into my cleared game here, because I've beaten this game. I've beaten both of these games multiple times. Have all the achievements out of it on this collection. Now, there are a bunch of games you can unlock as you go along, including like arcade games within there, slot machines, darts, which is always fun, and like play the boss battles. We'll get to those at some point. We're here for two games in particular. We're here for Space Harrier, and we're here for Afterburner 2. We're going to start with Afterburner 2. This came out in 1987 from Sega, and just like Typhoon was showcasing its scaling effects for Konami, this is doing that for Sega as well. So hit the start button. Get that nice shot. And you get that nice upbeat guitar thing, get ready to go. So that's what it'll be looking like if we're playing the arcade version of this. You have your Vulcan cannon and you have your missiles. So we're going to have the final takeoff when we hit that start button. And here's some oh so lovely music.
Get ready.
God, I just love the music of this game and just the style. So we're at Harrier Jet. Again, the Top Gun comparison's fitting. You move left and right, shooting planes, moving left and right, you tilt and spin around. That's how you avoid shots. You also hit the left trigger and have your afterburner go on to speed up. But you also have missiles. You also have to avoid missiles too. I'm trying to get another plane in my sight. Look. Yeah, if you hit the X button, you shoot missiles out, and you want to listen to your wingmate say, fire. Oh, right, you have to be not shooting. Okay, you have to not be shooting your Vulcan cannon. But yeah, it's easily to get shot down in this game. This is a game that's extremely easy to die in. And I've never been that good at this game, in all honesty. There we go, so he says, fire. And you shoot that, you're locked on, and they die. Feasibly. But again, you also have to watch out for all the missiles coming inside, and again, try to spin out of the way, but it doesn't always work. Oftentimes, you're going to see that. You're going to see yourself crashing into the ground. I've been playing this game, actually, since Shenmue 2 came out in 2002, and I end up still just dying constantly. So we're going to be doing this a couple of times so we can show off more of this game. The next game was not going to be that case because I'm much better at that one. But with that, I got killed, so we're going to start over. But there's the attract mode to show how you should be playing this game. Moving that arcade stick to shoot your guns, and then shoot the fire button for the missiles when it locks on, and when they say fire. Let's try again. It is insanely fast, especially for a game from 1987. And that's what always did impress me about this. For a game from that time, just how it's doing its scaling effect. I mean, technically, I guess it's popping up a lot if you want to look at it that way. But considering that there were not a whole lot of games that were necessarily playing like this, okay, there were some. Actually, the next game is going to be one. But it definitely is interesting the way this is doing it. There we go. Okay, that's how you want to avoid. Basically, use the afterburner and then turning at the last minute to do the flip. Oh, or getting blown out of the sky. I think that's another game over. This game is not easy, and it goes so fast in a lot of cases, and there's not as much room to maneuver as you'd want. So this is one of those games you basically play this the rest of your life and try to, master it that way. I mean, probably when or if I hit 60 or 70, that's when I'm going to be really good at this game, ironically. But we'll see. I at least want to get to a couple later sections to show off, and then we'll go to Space Harrier, which is the other game in this collection. Or that Shenmue 2 offers. The other games, by the way, are racing games, which are Hang On and Outrun. Those are games I want to show off at some point, too, but we'll do those at some point. But I do love me some Outrun. Actually, one of the earliest memories of me playing a game was, or seeing games around, was Outrun. Alright, so stage 2. Yeah, you basically go through stages just by getting to a certain area. Or basically getting to a further distance, as opposed to going through bosses. But you do sometimes hit bosses. Sometimes. Ooh. Yeah, there's also so much going on the screen in this game, sometimes it's hard to tell where the missiles are. I mean, I guess in some ways it's more of a spectacle situation, but again, if you're good at this, I definitely have more respect for you for that. But I have one more life. I at least want to get to the next stage. Okay, here we go. Here we get to stage 3. You get the airship come in to reload your missiles. So then you have like a bunch of missiles you can shoot off. And technically, I mean, I guess I should just be using all those. Also trying to get to the stage 4 so we could hear the nice Afterburner theme. Or Afterburner music. This is Final Takeoff. The other one is Afterburner. Whoa! We're not going to be hearing this long, probably, but actually I'm doing okay. Okay, not so much now. Alright, there we go. Now I got a high score, at least. So we're going to do one more on... Actually, you know what? I'm going to go to the next one, because I think I've basically said most I could say about this game. And we'll end on a high note of me getting a high score. 17th place, but I'll still take it. Alright, so hit the Y button, go back to the menu. And now we're doing Space Harrier. This came out in 1985. And this is definitely more of a stylish situation. This is actually, I think, the only game we've played so far where...
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Well, alright. Yeah, that's where we are. We're in the fantasy zone. We're playing as the Space Harrier guy who flies around on... I guess feasibly a jetpack, and he has this big cannon. So I think this is the only game we're going to play with, actually one other exception, that you have not a plane or some kind of flight device. Actually, so I think it's one of only a couple games where you have living creatures. Alright, so there's a coin in, and hit start.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
There we go. Now, this is stage 1, moves. You fly around, and you shoot at enemies coming at you, and take them down as such. Don't hit into stuff or you'll die, although certain things you can hit. Yeah, like that. You can hit the bushes in this stage and be okay, but if I hit those rocks or hit the shots from these enemies, I'll be dead. With this great music. I love this game too, as far as its music. I actually have this song on my iPod. It's that good. And again, this nice fantasy style of shoot 'em up going on here, and with all the stuff coming into the screen. But yeah, also don't hit the trees or you die. But many more battle scenes will soon be available. We'll see how far I can get. This is actually the game of these that I'm probably the best at, with the possible exception of Outrun. Again, basically just shoot, 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 and avoid the bullets and all the other things. When they open their jaws like that, shoot them. At the end of each stage we have a boss, but again, of course, you gotta avoid the fireballs coming forward on the dragons. Change his color, hit him red, and he will be done. Hit him again when he's red, and then he's dead. Come on, come on, come on. Got him.
You're doing great.
Yeah, and that nice bit of encouragement of, you're doing great. While also still feeling the frustration when you die. But again, basically keep shooting, but also in this level, they introduce fireballs coming from enemies as opposed to bosses. And you also have to avoid slamming into objects you can't destroy. Because I'm shooting basically everything. Trees are going, rocks are going, enemies are going. But we're running into, yeah, these pillars. Your bullets will bounce off, they do nothing. So you have to move left and right around them and avoid getting hit. It definitely is a twitch shooter, pretty much, as far as that. Woo. Next boss, and again, they vary the bosses up a little in the sense that some of them are just like enemies grouped together, but some of these you have to hit in the middle to go about it. Alright, stage 3. Yeah, I am definitely better at this game than I am at Afterburner 2. I think in some ways because maybe the sensory overload of this one is something that you can easily practice than even Afterburner 2. Whoa, you still have a lot to deal with. Again, for 1985 in particular, it is impressive to see the scaling as smooth as it is, and keep in mind when I'm saying scaling being smooth, because the next game is going to be a case of that not being the case. And there's a reason why we're playing this game now and then the next game next, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Whoa! And yeah, I think the perspective thing also means that, again, when I'm almost going to crash into something, or when it speeds up like this, you definitely get more into it. Here we go.
Get ready.
Double-headed dragons. Same situation as before, but I gotta kill 2 of them. And they shoot fire faster. Right, Cell. Or Cell? I don't know if that's it. Sorry. Oh, here we go, the Bins Beams. Those things are indestructible, so you gotta avoid them. And they come in multiple colors. Again, to play to that whole fantasy concept. Whoa. Well, you just keep an eye on everything coming forward, just keep shooting. You should be okay, with practice. This is not an easy game. I'm making it look easier than it is. There we go. Robots now. So yeah, we're definitely in the fantasy zone, no question.
You're doing great.
Here we go. Glad I got here. This is the bonus stage. They'll jump on this thing that looks like it's out of the Neverending Story. They probably are going for that, because I think that movie is around. Crash into all the objects on the screen. They will be destroyed, and based on how many you hit, you'll get a higher point bonus. There we go. Now I got a good amount.
You're doing great.
Alright, so stage 6. Let's see how far I can take this. I don't think I've actually beaten this game, because there are a lot of levels to it, but I have gotten pretty far. There are the robots again. And Harrier jets, they're shooting out more shots and more damage. Well, okay, not more damaging, because everything kills you in one hit when you get hit by it. They're varying it up. And again, for a game like this, there definitely is a lot of variety.
Get ready.
Alright, so there we go. That's game over.
Get ready.
There we go. Top of the leaderboard. Nothing like getting that happening when you're in an arcade game, or playing an arcade, or in an arcade with that, and just showing people, hey, I got the high score. At least I was able to get on this one to show that I've got some skill here. Now, I think I got pretty far on that. I think we're going to go to the next situation here, which is go back home, do a closeout of Shenmue, and we got another disc to put in. We got 2 more discs. Everything else is going to be through those. So let me get the next one, which is going to be the Sega. It says on screen there, Mega Drive Classics. I don't know why it says that, because it was called Sega Genesis Classics when it came out here. The icon there said that when it launched at first, and then they had to patch this, because this game had some big problems with it when it came out, and this is not, admittingly, one of the best Sega collections I could show. There's definitely issues with the emulation. And same with Shenmue, because Shenmue was also developed by the same people whose name we're going to see when it comes up. I think it's 3DT, if I remember correctly. But there's some games in here that I don't have elsewhere, so and it's the only one that runs on Xbox One as far as this collection is concerned, or a disc collection of Sega stuff, so that's where we're going to be going. Yes, D3T is the developer. I mean, even the idea of like the cinematic there is kind of getting a little jagged or choppy. Again, they had to patch this game when it came out because there are a lot of significant problems with it, particularly as far as some of the achievements not working. Including one that's insanely easy to get, but because it was broken, nobody had it for about a month and a half. I think they had to patch it then for Switch for the challenge of it. And it's too bad because there are a lot of good games in this thing, especially some that aren't on other collections. Like Vengeance Shinobi there. Not so much with Altered Beast, that's been in everything, but again, you have a good variety in like 50 or so games. It's also on the PS4, the Switch, and the PC. And really enough, the Switch version of this has fewer games. There's something with the licensing of the Wonder Boy game that meant they couldn't have them. I don't know why, but they're here. We'll deal with those another time. We have 3 shooters we're going to deal with to start, so when they give me the option to press any button to continue. Alright, so that's our situation here. Now you have a room here of games to play. And here all they are on the wall. Now, the ones we're going to take a look at tonight for shooting purposes are Biohazard Battle. We'll do that probably last. Where is it? Super Thunderblade, which is the worst game we're going to be talking about. But we're going to play Space Harrier 2. We just played Space Harrier 1 for the arcade. And in 1988, Sega decided, alright, we're launching the Genesis. Let's put it on the Genesis. Let's see what we can do with Space Harrier running on Genesis without the scaling stuff that it had in the arcade. Let's see how it turned out. I mean, they try, indeed, but it's not going to be that pretty a picture. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But okay, this is a sequel to the original game, the one we just played. So Fantasy Land they call it. It's the Fantasy Zone. Right, so in Stunna area. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, look how choppy that is. Remember how smooth the original was? Well, not so much on Genesis. This is... Actually, that's probably... They give you the seizure warning at the beginning of this game. This is going to be just a choppiness warning. Jesus. Again, 1988, Sega Genesis. Doesn't have scaling rotational effects built into it, the way the Super Nintendo had it. Developers had to get creative. And this is probably the best way it could be looking.
Get ready.
And the voice is actually pretty smooth, surprisingly, so there is something to be said about that. But again, plays like Space Harrier before, but much choppier. And thus it means it's a lot easier to die.
Get ready.
Also, you have digital control going on as far as it, so even though I can use analog stick for it, it doesn't feel as tactile as the original. But again, I guess it is impressive for them to try and get this running on this. I mean, they tried to get that going as far as the Sega Master System, too. To the point where they actually had a 3D version that used, like, their 3D VR goggles. Which, from what I understand, actually looks incredible. Especially for that system, which had fewer capabilities for scaling and scrolling than this does. But yeah, it definitely is kind of... Okay, no, it's definitely choppy. It's still kind of playable in spite of that, but again, if you're going to be playing Space Harrier, you want to play the original. And thankfully you have an option to play that, as I just showed before, but... In my case, I had never played it before this collection, so I'm glad to have it. If just for being able to go back and see, like, oh yeah, this is what it was like. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's mostly like the original, even though it's a sequel. Just, I think the enemy types are different, the music is different. And this is a console exclusive, if I remember correctly. I don't think this was actually released in the arcades. As far as Space Harrier as a franchise, I guess, there was another arcade variant, Planet Harrier, which never came home. But outside of that, it was really this, which was for Genesis, and then the original in the arcade. Actually, there was a Sega Aegis version that I think they then ported to the PS2. But that was years later. Oh.
Get ready.
I'll go a little bit more on this, and then we're going to go to the next one, which is the game that, as I said, is the worst game we're going to talk about tonight. Oh, those rings are getting me.
Get ready.
Yeah, it does get a little smoother when I'm not moving, I've noticed. And I guess it stops here, so there's that aspect. Ooh.
Get ready.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I just hit the right analog stick, which has your options for quick save and quick loading. Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, it's gonna attack me, right? But apparently not. Actually, this is the furthest I've ever gotten in this game, so you're witnessing, I guess, something historic, if you want to put it that way. But then again, it's like, yeah, it's Space Harrier II. I'd rather just go back and play the original. But again, I'm including this to showcase, again, what we had dealing with for this franchise with the original and then the sequel. Jumping down from hardware, from arcade to Genesis. I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, I'm not really going to be oh, there's like other Harriers now. Okay. I mean, as I was going to say, there's not really much great to be showing on the Genesis tonight as far as what I have for this, for the Xbox One side of things. But, again, we've got time for other ones that I can show off at another point. And I have been enjoying this kind of look back as far as just going through a genre, and I'm not sure necessarily, Chad, you've been enjoying it, but hopefully you have, and hopefully you're finding it interesting. All right, that's game over, and I got high score, so we're going to do that, and I think we're going to go on to the next game. All right, so then you just go back to the Sega screen. So hold the back button. We go out to the TV, and we're putting in, oh Christ, Super Thunderblade. This also is an arcade port of sorts, but yeah, this also came out in 1988, and it launched on the Genesis in the US in 1989. This game is horrible, especially even given the time it came out. It's horrible. This is not a fun game. It's choppy, even choppier than Space Harrier II was. It's repetitive. I always am going to hold against this game for the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. That was, I think, one of the first times it was included. And they tied the unlocking of Space Harrier, the arcade game, to this. And it's a terrible port, by the way, of Space Harrier. So it's like adding insult to injury. There's an achievement for getting like 1,500,000 points of that on this game to unlock this. So I'm always going to hold against this game for that and then giving me a terrible version of Space Harrier. So, all right, let's get this one over with. In the arcade, it's way better, though, because it's also ported on 3DS for the arcade version, and it's actually pretty good. It's just the idea that the scaling effects that I showed with Space Harrier and Harrier II just did not translate to the Genesis early on very well. Later, people figured it out as far as special designing tricks, but for this, no. So you're basically flying around a city in your helicopter, basically hitting the B button to shoot out your guns. Yeah, basically just keep shooting and just keep going. You can go up and down to avoid stuff, or get shot down and hit the street. And then take off, and you do pull back on the D-pad in this case to take off, which is interesting, but the arcade version does it better because they give you a dual analog setup for it, so you're actually kind of working it based around like actual rotary design of a helicopter. So it's actually pretty cool that way. And actually the 3DS version did replicate that, utilizing the new 3DS's second analog nub, or the Circle Pad Pro. But Genesis, we didn't have anything like dual analog or analog control at all in home games of that. So yeah, you run into this and me dying constantly. We'll try this a few times. We're going to be out of rank. I'm not good at this game, and I don't care because I kind of hate it. But again, I wanted to show it off, so we're going to take the good and the bad. This was, I guess, an admirable attempt, if I'll be nice about it, for saying, like, all right, let's do scaling. But again, even more than... Yeah, because what just hit me there? Seriously, chat, tell me. What just hit me? I didn't see any bullets. They didn't crash into me yet. And I think you could also fly into the buildings. I didn't fly into the building there. But... Hey, you know, let's try flying into the building, because I don't care. I just want to see something. Yeah, okay, I could fly to the building. And then die. And the building's indestructible. Alright, we're going to try this one more time, and then we're going to go on to the last game in this collection. And then with that, we'll only have 2 more games left. And trust me, they're better than this. I mean, I love Sega. I mean, you know that. I've come in here, I play tons of Sega games. I always talk about the great history of Sega and all that. The questionable future, the tough middle parts of stuff, though. But yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. This is not a good game. Not the worst game they've ever made, but it's not good, and it hasn't aged well, and I don't even know if it was that good even back in 1989. But again, the arcade version's better, so if you want to get it, get the 3DS version, which is on the Sega 3D Classics collection, which is a very nice collection to pick up. And it uses 3D well, if you're wondering about 3DS and the capabilities that system, which actually did finally end its run this year, had as far as its 3DS or 3D aspects. The Sega stuff tended to do that really well, especially like the arcade ports like that one and Power Drift, especially Space Harrier again had a great 3D option, and Outrun, which looked gorgeous. Especially with a new 3DS where you don't have to, you know, where it'll track your movement from your head. I can't recommend those games enough if you want to showcase what 3D capabilities off of those systems. We'll see how far I can get on the Super Thunderblade, only because I want to talk about something and anything else. But when you get to a certain part, you have tanks you have to take down and avoid getting shot at by. I think the other thing about this now that I'm thinking about is, like, there's not really much to this, because I'm just flying up and down and shooting Vulcan guns, whereas even some of the other stuff I had was basically, or the other stuff I was playing had more variety. In this case, you have it in bosses and maybe some of the displays of where you are, or some of the backgrounds. I guess the fact that the clouds are moving when I'm moving left and right, it's not even like parallax scrolling to it, so it doesn't even look that great. But we're going okay as far as this now, especially for a game that I'm not a fan of. I mean, yeah, I should stop complaining about this game, but yeah, that's the part of this. This is not fun. And I'm showing you exactly why it's not fun and explaining it. But again, you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, the only reason you'd ever want to play this version at least is because you have a Sega collection that has it in with other games. I mean, this is Bad Game Thursday material, by the way, which we're going to have to do that at some point. That's something that my coworkers started, and I've been keeping it going ever since we've been apart, which is every Thursday we got something bad to talk about, and this is a prime example. In fact, I think I might need to do a coverage on this, because I do have an Instagram channel, or Instagram page, where I do game coverage during the week. I took a week off this past week for Thanksgiving, but I'll be back at it next week, and I think I want to talk about this one for the Bad Game Thursday entry, because it definitely deserves it. Oh, but I'm getting shot down, and I'm dead. Let's see how well I did. Okay, so I got first place. Okay, I also have pandas as my icons if I want to do that, but I won't actually have my initials. M, P, D. There we go. Okay, so I'm at the top of the leaderboard of this game that nobody cares about. Either chat or me. And I don't blame you. But I am ending with something a little nicer. It's something I didn't know was a shooter like this until I put it in the other day to see, like, okay, what is this? This is Biohazard Battle. This came out in 1992 for the Sega Genesis. This has not been re-released a whole lot. This is, I think, one of the only situations where I've seen a re-release of it on this collection. Though I think it was also on the Wii Virtual Console, which you can't buy anymore. Anyway, just going in to check my settings. Alright, now this game, from what I understand, is kind of, again, based on the title, it's kind of looking at biological aspects. You have an option of ships here, which look like they're more like bugs. So I'm going to take this one. There we go, yeah, the thumping Genesis base. And apparently from what I understood reading this, because I don't know, I actually had not played this game until this collection came out, you're trying to prevent, I think, like, a biohazard outbreak, I think, or stop the results of it, or these squids of things. So it's almost like Alien Syndrome as far as Sega games are concerned. But also have, okay, I crashed into that, but when you pick up the icons on screen, you have that little bug guy that's next to me, shooting objects outwards, and you can pick up more to increase your skills and have them do different things. And in that case, the yellow one, it's like a firefly where it shoots out that yellow laser, which I think that's the best thing I want to go about. And he shoots the laser out while I'm hitting fire button as well. So in that way, it's giving me a lot of coverage. And kind of rotate it around. I can pick up other things if I want to, but I kind of like what this is, so I'm just going to keep holding that fire button down and avoid everything else. Try to position the other guy in the right way so that he'll shoot out at the enemies that are coming down. This game's actually pretty fun, and I gotta say, when I played it this week, just to get a sense of like what I'm going to play for this whole showcase of mine, I was like, actually, this is kind of a unique take. It almost reminds me of like what Echo the Dolphin was doing in the sense that it's more of like a nature-themed kind of shooter, sorta. Or almost reminds me of Calibri on the 32X, if you played that one. Which is about the same people who made Echo the Dolphin. But again, it was also like a hummingbird shooter, weirdly enough. So I was like, yeah, okay, that was years after this one, though. And for an early game on the Genesis, or semi-early, this is not too bad. And I like the music, and even just the way it looks. Even like the smoothing options that they added for this collection, which actually do look really nice. Sometimes they pixelate them weird, but this collection, they have some nice designs for them. Alright, so now we're in the city. I did like the idea of them going downwards in the first level and then going sideways in this one. I got another one, which is going to be those little spread shots, which actually is kind of good in this case, because I can get more coverage going on the level. It is chugging a little as far as its frame rate, but it's actually still pretty good. Again, that blast processing aspect as far as the Genesis's graphics technology. I'm dead. Oh. Am I dead? Okay, yeah, I'm dead. Alright, okay, that's game over. We'll continue once. I get a bunch of credits apparently to this, so we're gonna try stage 2 again. We'll see where it goes. And next game over, I'm probably gonna go to the last game we're gonna talk about for tonight. And that's gonna be an interesting one to go to. And an interesting one to end on. Okay, that's the other thing. When you hit the B button, you shoot out a charge shot. Alright. Actually, that's probably going to be better, just to tear through the screen, even though it does kind of tank the frame rate a bit. Then again, with all the stuff on screen, I can kind of get it. And again, with all due respect to Super Nintendo, it would not be able to handle this game as far as, you know, chugging. Even like I mentioned Gradius before. Like, Gradius 3 on the Super Nintendo does run really slow as far as its frame rate. And actually, a lot of games Konami did at the time. And although those were early releases, to be fair, so later on we got other games that had a better situation with it. So that's game over there. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get through this, so we're going to go to the last game now. But yeah, that's Biohazard Battle. It's kind of an underrated one. I would actually like to play this more, honestly. Not necessarily for stream purpose, but just for general purpose. So, last game, and this is also going to be a disc, and like Shenmue 2, this is a case of me going back to a full game that has a classic game unlocked in it. Put in this. And last on our docket is Panzer Dragoon Orta. This came out in 2003 for the original Xbox. It is one of the few original Xbox games that works on the original Xbox, the 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series S, and the Xbox Series X. And you do get the nice little Xbox boot up for launching it. Now, this is a game, Panzer Dragoon Orta. It's, I think, technically the most recent game in the franchise, unless you count the remake of the original. Developed by Smilebit, who did the Jet Set Radio games. And this is the most recent new one. And there is an interesting unlockable to this game. We're going to play this full game at some point because this is a gorgeous and wonderful game that I adore playing. But we're going to open the Pandora's box because you have a lot of unlockables you can get when you go through this game. And one of the bonuses you get is if you beat the game on any difficulty, and that game is hard, or Orta at least, is a hard game. So there's no shame in beating on easy because it's really difficult. You get to unlock the original Panzer Dragoon from the Sega Saturn, although this port in here is actually based on the PC version. So we have a little opening cinematic we're going to take a look at. Again, this is just going to be a taste of this one. This is a game I can come back to as well. But again, to end it with a Sega Saturn game and to show more of a 3D perspective as far as the shooting games we've taken a look at.
Nemesis.
Okay, so with that cutscene, which is longer than I remembered it, this is Panzer Dragoon, released in 1995 from Sega and Team Andromeda for the Sega Saturn and for the PC. It actually also has a remake that's on the Switch now. I'll be getting it, but I'm waiting for my limited edition physical edition to come, which is on the way from Limited Run Games. It should be done soon, hopefully. And I'll also be porting this to Xbox One and PS4 and PC as well for the remake. And they're also remaking the sequel to this. But anyway, I want to finish off with this one just because it shows kind of a different take on a flight shooter, because as the cutscene showed, we got dragons here. So you have just a normal game, and that was the opening cutscene. We already saw it. We don't need to see it again. Alright, now, this is definitely a nice game to play. Definitely primitive as far as how it looks, but again, going back to what I said with Radiant Silvergun, the Sega Saturn was not designed around 3D that much. So the fact that this game looks as nice as it does and runs as nice as it does is a big deal. Especially the sequel, which looks even better and plays even better. This is pretty typical. You basically are shooting around, use the left and right triggers to kind of move the aiming reticle around, and you're just flying your dragon on rails like this, kind of like Star Fox a little bit, although this actually, as far as 3D variances, predates Star Fox 64 by about 2 years. And its sequel actually predates it by 1. And its sequel is a really good game too, but again, I'll have to show that off at some time, feasibly when the remake comes out, or borrow my girlfriend's copy. She has a Sega Saturn, and she has the sequel, which is a really good game too. And we're just flying around in this fancy world on your dragon, shooting everything. And you do have a lock-on shot when you hold the A button down in this case. But you have to hit onto the enemies when they are there. And it's not always as obvious when you can lock onto them compared to some of the other games in the series, particularly Orta and particularly Panzer Dragoon 2. It does look really nice, again, for how Saturn was, and again, when 3D was a new thing in 1995, particularly as far as console gaming was concerned. So again, we're just going to take a brief look at this game. We can come back to this, because I definitely would like to play this through at some point, as well as Panzer Dragoon Orta. And if I'm going to be playing Panzer Dragoon Original, then we're going to play it here, or we'll play the Switch remake, because at that point, by the time I come back to one of these, I'll probably have the Switch remake by that point. Again, I think it's supposed to be finished printed by the end of the year, but for the time being, we have this one, and it is a fun and very artistic game, especially given the system's capabilities, and also the fact that the team who developed this game, Team Andromeda, really did some clever tricks with the Saturn's hardware to get it to run like this, both for this one and for its sequel, and also for the RPG based on the series Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is one of the most expensive games in the Saturn, and one of the most highly sought after. They basically built their own engine, pretty much, to make this run, as opposed to using the onboard stuff that the Saturn had. Because the way the Saturn was designed, it was designed around 2D prowess above anything, but when they heard the PlayStation 1 was going to have a 3D focus, they said, all right, we're going to put in something hastily at the last minute to have 3D capabilities, but it made it really hard to program for, and also made it so that its capabilities were not as good as the PlayStation's, which kind of had the perspective of 3D right from the start. I think that was the reason why the Saturn was not a success in the US, only the fact that it just didn't sell as well. But the Panzer Dragoon games were kind of an exception to that rule, and even at the time, a lot of people in the gaming press, and also players who had Saturn said, hey, this is something that really showcases what this system is capable of. And that it does, while also being a really fun and unique game. I mean, at the time, there really weren't a whole lot of Dragon shooters I could think of. I mean, there's a couple. The only one I could really think of is a Namco arcade game called Legend of Valkyrie, which I don't have, but when I get to the Namco Museum Virtual Arcade on the 360, we'll be able to show that off. But outside of that, there's not really much as far as Dragon-based shooting games, or Dragon-based games in particular. I mean, nowadays we have a few more. We have Lair on PS3, which was kind of a mess from what I understand, and it was also the game that ended Factor 5, basically shut them out of business because of how much of a bomb that was. And then there was Drakengard, which was a Square franchise that has its fans, but depending on who you talk to, they might really hate it. And sometimes you have some other ones that are kind of split out there, like Dragon Riders Chronicles of Pern on the Dreamcast. But generally speaking, Panzer Dragoon is the one that seems to be the one that is people's most favorite, and for good reason. It's fun, it looks good, it sounds terrific, its music is outstanding, the sound design is terrific, the storytelling is minimalistic and effective, and just overall a terrific title, and one that is, I mean, when they announced Panzer Dragoon Order for Xbox, I mean, there are fans of this game who were literally on the ground sobbing because they thought, we're never going to see Panzer Dragoon again, but we did, and the thought process is maybe with the remakes that are coming out, well, the one that's already out and being ported elsewhere, and the second one that's coming, that we get perhaps a re-release of Panzer Dragoon Saga, or a redesign of it, because the source code for that game is lost, so they basically redesign it from scratch. And like I mentioned with Streets of Rage 4 before with Sega, they licensed it to another company, I believe it was Forever Entertainment, to make the remake. But Sega is still seeing the fact that, oh yeah, this is a franchise that people are wanting. So I almost wonder if maybe then they'll say, like, oh, we're remaking all of these other games, let's remake the Saga game as well. And even this one, you can buy this game on the Xbox Live Store for the 360 and for the Xbox One, and the Series X as well. So you can still get this game, which is probably the cheapest one, the Panzer Dragoon Order game, but still is going up in price a bit compared to other ones on the Saturn are. With that, we finished episode 1. So I had a pretty good shoot-down ratio, and I got credits set, but I did miss a couple enemies. And some of the later ones added a bit of a, more of a scoring and ranking system, but this one did not. And I think with the finishing of the first level, after the cutscene, I think we're going to go back to the menu, and I think that's going to cover it for tonight. Because again, I just want to give you a taste of this game before I eventually play it and Order. And again, potentially 2 at some point, but again, I'll need some outside help for that one. So there's episode 2. We are in the skies and the sands. And we have that worm thing. We're going to have to leave that for now, unfortunately. And I think, yeah, unfortunately, this game doesn't have a save option. I don't think it had it on Saturn either. But with that, we're coming back out to Panzer Dragoon. And with that, I think we're going to close off Super Old Game Saturday for this week. I had a good time doing this, and I appreciate the people in the chat who recommended this last week or said, hey, let's do shooters. So I kind of like this rapid-fire approach as well. It means that there's more variety, you have less time to get bored, and also you have a different perspective of like where a genre is. I mean, if I come back to this, I like the suggestion of beat-em-ups. I might look at that one at some point. I don't know when I'm going to come back to doing a collection of games like this, but I did like this perspective, and I'm open to any suggestions in the chat for that. As far as next week is concerned, I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but I'm going to say it again. I want to do Donkey Kong Country 2, because December 5th is next Saturday, and that is the 25th anniversary of that game. So I want to show that game the love it deserves. It's a terrific game I grew up playing. I I'd already done Donkey Kong Country 1, so I may as well do 2 as well, especially for, I guess, first anniversary. So next week at 7 p.m., I will be playing Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo. I probably pull the Super Nintendo version out. It's either that or I can play it on the Switch Online. I have an option as far as either way I go about it. But again, either way, we're going to be playing that next week. So I'll go back to a single game to play through. Every so often, though, I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to just do like a showcase of stuff. But again, this worked out pretty well. So I have like 3 hours or so covering 20 games that, again, maybe you played, maybe you haven't, maybe you had good experiences with them, bad experiences, maybe you found something in this showcase that you liked that you want to pick up. And again, you can see on screen, these are the options that I showed and the ways that you can get them if you liked whatever you saw. I realized I forgot to talk about this one. This is Scramble, released in 1981. We're going to play this for a little while, and then we're going to jump over to Nights into Dreams, which I have the HD version of here, and then Christmas Nights, because yesterday was Christmas, obviously. So I have all my bases covered. So with that, let's get into Scramble. This was an ancient arcade game from Konami, one that I didn't play until this collection came out. It's also, again, I missed covering this when we had our shooter showcase about a month ago, and I was trying to figure out why did I miss it? I was playing out of this collection a lot, but then I realized I switched to show the Japanese options for games, or at least games with the Japanese versions. This game doesn't have a Japanese version included in this collection. I don't know why, but it doesn't. So again, I realized that about an hour after I did my stream. I realized, oh wait, I got to play this and show it off. So we're going back to this one, and most of our night is going to be with Knights. Fitting, given the holiday, with the holiday version, and then also just the game itself, because we have to cover that game anyway, and they're two separate things. We'll get into that when we get into that. But first, let's take a look at Scramble. Hit the Y button to start for one player. This is definitely the oldest Konami game in this collection. Basically, it's kind of like Defender a little bit, except you're going left and right constantly. Press the A button in the case of this to shoot lasers out. Press the B button to drop bombs, but you have to time it because the whole screen is moving, so the trajectory of the missiles is also going to go along with that. And as we saw earlier, you have to be careful not to... Actually, no, I think you do shoot the fuel canisters. Refuel your ship as it shows at the bottom of the screen. And it's kind of basically just about timing everything. And yeah, there's not really too much to say about this, but again, it's also be dealing with unfinished business. And also, again, giving you that super old perspective, and in this case, dying. But that was the idea of a lot of games like this. Basically, you're playing it for the purpose of a high score and just having a nice time in the arcade with your friends or on your own. Kind of what I'm doing with it tonight. And okay, yeah, you do hit the fuel in order to refuel your ship. Again, you just have to time it specifically or be on the ground enough to shoot at it with your forward laser. Alright, so not too much really to say about this. Basically, just keep going as you go along, and again, find tougher enemies and get more points as you go along, hopefully without dying. So I guess with that, I mean, I may as well just open it up. Hopefully you all had a good holiday yesterday, or having a good holiday now, with the other holidays that are running today, and I guess also have been running this month. Oh. As I said, we're not going to play this necessarily for too long, but I'm definitely curious to see about it, because I have not played this game that much, and in my case, also seeing an ancient arcade game from 1981, as I mentioned, is definitely an interesting sight. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Xevious if it was a 2D game, although actually this predates Xevious by about 5 years, I believe. Alright, so that's game over. And I guess this is a situation where we don't have continues to have here, but again, I can keep putting in coins, because this is an old arcade game. As I mentioned when I did the shooter showcase last month, this game is part of the arcade, the Arcade Classics Anniversary Collection from Konami, which is usually a $20 download, but it's often on sale. In fact, actually, I bought it on sale when it was at Thanksgiving, and it's actually on sale now for about $10, which is about how much this is worth. Or if you're on PC, it usually tends to be $5, which is an even better deal if you have a PC. And then it's also on Switch and PS4, where it's usually $20 as well, but sometimes they'll put it on sales. I guess for what this game is and what all these games are, and we covered the other ones last time, or not last time, when I last covered this collection about a month ago. Definitely is an interesting one to go back to for all of the old arcade goodness, and again, a lot of arcade games maybe you haven't played before, and even I haven't played a lot of these. So in that way, it serves its purpose. Actually, I was telling my girlfriend yesterday, I was talking to her for Christmas, and basically was mentioning whenever there's like a classic collection that comes out, it doesn't usually matter what it is. It's usually something that I'll always want to pick up anyway, just for the purpose of, retaining the classics and also showing support feasibly, I guess, with my money for other collections they might make. And I guess in Konami's case, because they've got quite a treasure trove. And they've done a couple. They did the Contra collection last year, they did the Castlevania collection last year, and they did this. So feasibly keep buying this, and keep buying these collections of theirs, and maybe show them, hey, we like this classic gaming stuff, so keep it coming. Which actually they have been doing on Switch with the Arcade Archives. They've been releasing a ton of stuff, even stuff that's never come home before, like or in their original form anyway, like Sunset Riders, which I still need to get, especially because it's not that cheap on the home console versions they made. But again, the fact that they have the arcade version in there is pretty nice. Looks like you got an extra life. I keep hitting those ships that are kind of going up and down like that. Again, I'm no expert at this game. With Knights, I'm not as much of an expert, but a little better at this. I mean, I played Knights more than I played this, but again, this is more just to showcase this game, show that, hey, it exists, and again, to cover up the mistake I made when I didn't show it last month. So basically, let's keep playing this for a little bit, and then in about, I'd say about 10 minutes, so we'll go over to Knights. So to go back to what I was saying earlier, hopefully you've been having a good holiday, and if you're a gamer, well, A, you're probably going to be watching something based on gaming tonight, whether it's my show or any other. But also, I'm curious also if in the chat, any games you've picked up this holiday or got as gifts, and if you're liking them or having a good time with them. In my case, I got 3. I got Doom Eternal, which I'm having a lot of fun with. I got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity for Switch. That I'm having a good time with as well. And I also downloaded Fuser from Harmonix, which I got with... Well, actually, I got on a massive discount, because it's on sale now, and also because I was given a gift card for Xbox Store, so I said, okay, I want to use that to cut on the price of this, especially because I learned that Fuser does not have a physical release anymore, which totally slipped my mind. I didn't know that had happened. But I've been having a lot of fun with that. That's the latest one from Harmonix, who made Rock Band and Guitar Hero. Again, this is something I picked up on Thanksgiving, but something I've still had a lot of fun coming back to every so often. Even if it's just like for a quick burst. Or in this case, just to show the game off. So I'm running out of fuel, so I gotta be a little more careful when I see those fuel canisters. Yeah, I'm really noticing you have to let your bombs out really early before they come, before the fuel canisters come, otherwise I'm not gonna get them refueled. Again, this is kind of a new experience for me, this game, because I have not played it that much. But again, we're just going to be playing it for a little bit just to get a sense of what we're dealing with. Okay, there we go. Got both of them. I do like the ideas as you're going along in these stages, the colors of the background are changing, kind of give you a sense of, alright, you're going a little further as far as where you're going. I mean, it is more stylized than realistic, but again, for 1981, definitely a different concept for that. I think it's easiest when I can get down on the ground like that to be able to shoot the fuel canisters with my blasters as opposed to the bombs. I got further that time without dying, so there's something nice to be said about that. Also, I think there's probably an achievement for this game, because again, I'm playing this on the Xbox One. It's also on PS4 and Switch and PC, but in that case, there's usually achievements to be had. And there's, I think, a gimme pretty much for each of these, as long as you go far enough and get a decent amount of points. I got that as a guide, but again, that's not going to be of much help to me. Well, feasibly, I guess I'm getting leaderboard rankings, although in this game, I guess it's not really mattering much because there's no initials. I guess that's how you can tell it's really ancient, because this is an old arcade game with a high score system where you don't have initials to enter. Almost made it to, I guess, the base, it looks like. Actually, no, I'm going to try and make it to the base. Besides, I got a lot of time. This is going to be, again, a pretty loose Super Old Game Saturday tonight. Again, a fitting one for the end of the year. Feasibly my last stream before the beginning of next, or before the end of this year. Yeah, I was thinking at least just to have something kind of relaxing, and again, kind of going back to a bunch of different things. I'm definitely thinking of different ideas as far as next year about what other things I should cover, what things I should play, and also how to kind of get myself out there a bit more, get other people involved with me. Ow. Okay, that didn't help getting the fuel when I died, but yeah, so I'm trying to think about some different ideas as far as that. Because I kind of like making this into like a weekly thing, just to kind of showcase whatever weird games I have, or whatever offbeat games, or whatever games people are asking me of. Because I've had a couple people who've been asking me to do certain things, and want to see what I've got. Honestly, I think next year might be a pretty good situation for doing that. So feasibly I'll be able to have more people going on this, even specifically try to get people involved with it, actually commenting as I play, whether it's going to be over like a, I guess like a chat program or something, or having them right here with me. I still have to look through some technical stuff for that, but it's definitely stuff I've been thinking about. I was gonna say staying low seems like it's the most effective strategy, but even then it's not completely guaranteed, because I can't shoot those things. Maybe staying high. I think I'll do this for probably one more play, or maybe one or two more plays. Actually, I'm having a lot of fun with this. But then again, I guess that's the idea of like an arcade game like this, just being able to... Okay, I was going to say, just being able to put in a quarter, specifically whether it's virtually in this case, or in actuality. Just kind of play a bunch of... or play around with it and then see what happens. If it's good enough, you'll probably want to put more quarters into it to see more. So close. I'm going to try one more time and then we'll jump over to Knights. Unless I'm here now with my last life, and we're gonna get another one like it. Okay, I'm not going to now. I'm gonna try one more time. Actually, you know what? I'll play it till 7:30 with this one, and then we'll go over to Knights. Good shape. I got all my lives going into this, so this is perfect. Aw. Getting pretty far though, at least. think we're gonna make it to the base. This is exciting, because I haven't seen this, actually, myself. Oh! Does that count? Okay, yes it does, good. Alright, so I still need to use my bombs to get the fuel out of the way, ironically. Aw. Actually, that went pretty well, actually. I'll try one more, and then we're gonna be doing knights. Besides, that's what you came here for, I would think. As actually, that was the intention of this stream anyway. Because, like, yeah, it's the day after Christmas, so we're gonna play Christmas Nights, which is one of the few Christmas-themed video games that I own. Which is weird. You don't run into a whole lot of games with Christmas as a theme, or if they are, they're kind of obscure. But again, I have this one, and that's gonna be an interesting pace to do that. That being said, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I almost am thinking, like, yeah, I'll probably be at this for like another hour. That's game over then.